Hey, and welcome to the Video Game Dads podcast. This is episode 6, January 22nd, right? 2017. Yep. New podcast, new year, new president.
Same podcast.
Oh, same podcast.
Yeah, same podcast.
New president, new year, same podcast. Yeah.
we are the constant in your life.
Oh, yeah. If you aren't intrigued yet, well, this is the Video Game Dads podcast where three guys in a basement discuss gaming, fatherhood, and everything in between. Your three hosts, I am Ben.
I'm Shane.
And I'm Adam.
And you can find us on Twitter at Video Game Dads, our Facebook.
It's facebook.com/videogamedads.
And email.
VideoGameDads@yahoo.com.
Yeah, and our P.O. Box. And we don't have one. Just kidding. We don't have a P.O. Box. All right, guys. Gosh. All right. Happy January 22nd. We are in a new place this time. We are in my basement. We're normally in Adam's basement. We're now in the arcade basement. And we thought that's also fitting because we'll discuss some arcade memories, some Nintendo Switchery, and everything, whatever else pops up.
The good old arcades.
Yes, arcades. The good old days.
All right. Well, we should start out with our video game book club. All right, for this episode's video game book club, we had Legend of Kage for the NES, and this was a listener request, Dan from the Dan and Cody podcast. It's Legend of Kage.
Legend of Kage, spelled Kage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I did verify online that's how it's pronounced. So
Heck yeah, good.
Everything online is true, and so that must be true.
Sweet, good. I wasn't lying to y'all.
I still call it Cage. But it's okay.
Yeah, so Legend of Kage. So this is an early NES game, and I can't remember the exact year that it came out, but it was early in the system's lifestyle. It's a Taito game.
Yep.
So most people will recognize Taito, at least their games.
Yeah.
Because they made things like Space Invaders, Bubble Bobble,
Yep.
Elevator Action.
Nice.
All good stuff.
Good stuff, yeah.
I didn't mention, first episode listener, Video Game Book Club, is when we discuss a game that we're going to play maybe the next week, and we kind of play it all during that week, and then we talk about it, and you can also email in and give us your thoughts about it as well. And so you can listen along and play it. So Legend of Kage is this episode, and we all played it.
Yeah.
How'd you like it, Adam?
It's pretty cool. I mean, the Taito games, or Taito, all of their games, if you think about all those games I just mentioned, including this one, this actually was an arcade game.
It feels like it.
Yeah,
it feels like an arcade
Whether or
game,
not it came out in North America, I'm not really sure. I don't know that I've ever seen the cabinet, personally.
I've never seen it.
But all of the Taito games are always these sort of really simple pick up and play kind of games that a lot of them are just even one screen games.
Yeah.
But they're just designed to kind of hook you in. You can pick them up and play them really fast. Not a whole lot of rules, not a whole lot of things to understand. They're just not very complicated or cumbersome or anything like that. This game definitely feels, in the same vein of things. And so it's basically a game set in feudal Japan.
Sure, yeah.
And
whatever Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is.
Yeah. I think that's the right term.
There's just a lot of trees.
Yeah, so there's a lot of trees
and
ninja type people around. And at the beginning of the game, the princess, or I guess your love interest, is kidnapped, kind of Mario style. Right in front
That's
of you.
never been done before.
Yeah, no, this is not. This game's completely original in that regard.
Yeah, all of a sudden you see a sprite of maybe a girl, ambiguously girl, and then this guy comes in flying out of nowhere and takes her away like a crow. And like, okay, that's your motivation.
Yeah, there you go. Go get her.
Yeah, put a quarter in. Yeah, hit start, and then randomly flail your arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not too many buttons. So the sword swinging button, it feels so much like an arcade game. And you can scroll left or right. You can kind of almost go to infinity, and you can go up and climb the tree. Up is to jump and not A, which Shane,
that's
I know
weird
you're a
to
big
me.
fan of
Yeah,
that.
I'm a fan of pressing the button to jump. I think it's a little weird with the control pad.
Yeah, I
but I
agree.
guess on this game it makes sense because a lot of it's based on jumping and flying around and floating around.
And boy, do you jump!
Yeah, do you jump?
Yeah, so this game's kind of unique because a lot of the games at the time were just straight side scrollers, and this is an up and a side scrolling game.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of its claims to fame.
Yeah.
And you float and you have this very floaty, drifty sort of mechanic, and you can't really change your direction.
Yeah.
I mean, once you've jumped, it's kind of real world ish. I mean, aside from the fact that you're jumping 50 feet in the air, but like wherever you're going to go is where you're going to go.
And that's sort of the problem with it for me, is that when you jump, it's just you keep floating and floating. And that's where you die a lot of times, because you're like, you can
that's
see
why
him
you
coming.
don't jump, man. The whole thing about the game is just run around there with your little butter knife, because you have 2 weapons, right?
You got a shuriken.
Yeah, you got a ninja star. For those of us who
can't say shuriken. Wait, hold on, Adam.
Hold
on, Adam. I want you to say what a ninja star is. Go ahead.
Ninja star.
Oh. You can say Kage. So.
Yeah, right. But at any rate, you run around and you have your little ninja throwing stars, and then you also have this little sword, which also I can't remember the name of it, but it actually is named like a Japanese name, like it's a certain kind of sword.
Yeah, because it's weird because the sword spins around. yeah, it's Adam's mom's turn to tell us what it is now.
So for those that don't know, my mom's a librarian, so please look that up, Mother, and send me an email.
Yep.
Tell me that I'm a goof.
All I know is that scene from Bodyguard, where if you throw a scarf in the air, we'll see how sharp it is. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
okay.
I do. Okay. Yeah. I didn't know where you were going there for a second.
But it's a little bitty short sword that this guy has. Yeah, and it just kind of twiddles out in front of you like he's spinning.
Well, he flails it like one of those people in a marching band that spins a baton.
It's like a baton.
Yeah, it's like a little butter knife.
Yeah, those people that swing their sword in front of them? I'm going to swing it over my shoulder behind me.
Yeah.
That'll make a lot more sense.
It's a little weird.
Yeah, that's a little different.
But yeah, you just run around swinging that thing, and you kill a bunch of dudes, and occasionally a little orb. I guess it's an orb.
And that's how you get your power up, right?
A little sphere shows up, and then you can collect 2 of those, and your robe essentially changes color. You start out red, and I think you go yellow, and then green.
Yellow, green.
Is that right? Yeah. But at any rate, you change colors, and you can step up twice in power, and basically you're just stronger, and your ninja stars get bigger.
Yeah.
And if you get hit, it's kind of Mario style. So there's 3 different levels of power, but if you're at the top level, you drop to the bottom level. And if you're at the bottom level and you get hit, you'll die.
Yeah. And if you're colorblind, you're screwed.
You don't know what the
you
hell's
don't
going
change.
on.
Yeah. So, and there's like lightning randomly every once in a while.
Yeah, there's some lightning.
And there's a continuous loop on the music. The music just keeps going.
Yeah,
the really high pitch.
There's a continuous loop on the levels, kind of too.
Yeah, that's all it is. Oh, man.
But you just kind of jump around and you kill a bunch of people. And there's a ninja scroll that comes in if you're fortunate enough to grab one of those. Like, I don't know if you ever saw this, but these people just pile into the side of the screen and they just die, like millions of them. It's kind of amazing because this, I think it's a scroll, but anyway, you pick it up and all these people just keep running. It's sort of like they saw everyone in front of them die and they don't stop. They just keep coming and dying, and they fall at the sides of the screen. But that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
But it's the game's broken into 4 different levels. But it's also broken into 4 different seasons, so you basically play the same 4 levels through 4 different seasons.
Yeah,
and then that's the whole game. I didn't beat it, however,
I didn't beat it
but you can beat it relatively quickly. I mean, there are people on the YouTubes and whatnot that can pile through this game pretty darn fast. I mean, they can beat it in just a matter of a few minutes.
It's not a horrible game. I mean, it's an okay game.
Yeah, it's unique. It feels arcadey. Like
it feels very.
It gives
arcadey.
You that same feeling of like an Asteroids or something like else, where you just except it's where you get an endless loop. You get these enemies that kind of don't mean much.
Yeah,
totally opposite. Like Shinobi, what we had in the previous book club.
Yeah, that had character.
They couldn't, even though they're ninjas. They're both ninjas. Shinobis or ninjas. Yep, we're learning. Same word. They couldn't be any more different type of a game. Yeah.
Yep.
I thought I liked it.
How much does it? How much does a game cost?
The loose cart goes for only about $6. So
$6?
Yeah, it's fairly common, and it's fairly cheap. It's definitely worth $6.
I'd pay $6.
Yeah,
for
it's not a great game. It's not a bad game. It's pretty typical.
I'd throw it on a shelf and play it every once in a while.
I mean, it's typical of games that came out around that time, and I like the artwork on it too. It's got a cool label,
unique artwork. It looks like somebody like painted it, and it's like kind of pink
fade on it.
It's kind of different, right?
Yeah.
Looking. Yeah. All right, so that's our video game book club. That was our first listener arrival. So what we'll do is we'll kind of trade off from the 3 of us, myself and Shane and Adam, and then we will alternate every other week since we've gotten even more this week, which we'll discuss at the end of the episode, more ideas and offerings for the Video Game Book Club, and we'll just go back and forth. So now we are at Dad Turn, and the Genesis is what we are still on.
Yep.
So I kind of made this a game time decision. I was going back and forth and back and forth. I was like, I really like Jurassic Park Rampage Edition.
Yeah.
I know Adam's going to love that one, but unique. People kind of dismiss it, but still some of the best kind of fatalities, if you will, for that generation. That will be Eternal Champions for the Sega Genesis. Played this one a lot as a kid. I think it's unique. I think it's different. It is a fighter, so it's a fight. I'm not even a big fighting game fan. There's a lot of nostalgia for this with me.
Yeah.
But I really like the characters. I really like the stage fatalities, things like that. So
I haven't played this game in a long, long time since I was a kid, so it'd be interesting to go back and play
I know
it.
I played it in the past. If I remember, the fatalities are kind of stage specific rather than character specific.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
And very cool. So we can talk about it more next time. But it is kind of like placement on where you are. And this was around when like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat were big, and they tried to do something different. And I actually think they achieved it. It's also out for the Sega CD. So if you somehow have the Sega CD version, that will count as well. And that is the superior version. But you're talking, it's a 20-to-1 ratio out there in the wild. There's way more. The Genesis version.
At least 20-to-1.
Yeah.
Yeah. But either of those will count. So, yeah, check it out. Look on the old YouTubes if you're not able to get this by the next podcast. And our Video Game Book Club for episode upcoming 7 will be Eternal Champions for the Sega Genesis. All right, and moving on, I thought the three of us, being video game dads from a certain generation, we're all in our 30s, arcades. Arcades are something now kind of gone, kind of different.
What are those?
Yeah, what are some arcade memories? Yeah, what are those? As we're surrounded by a bunch of them right now. We'll put a couple pics up on our Twitter and our Facebook and stuff to kind of show you which ones we have. We all have arcades, all three of us.
Yep, yeah. I have one.
Yeah, what do we got? We'll start with you, Shane.
Yeah,
what you got?
Mine's pretty brief. I have a Karate Champ. I used to have a few other ones, but
tell the ones you used to have.
The ones I used to have is Asteroids, which I sold to Adam,
which is now mine,
and that's how I met Adam. So that's sort of cool.
Yeah.
And I had WWF WrestleFest.
You had the 4-player cabinet too on that, didn't you?
Yeah, I had the 4-player cabinet.
That's a cool cabinet.
It was
hard
cool.
to say. WrestleFest.
WrestleFest. Yeah. But I had those, and that was it. Those are the ones I had. I sold both of those off. They eat up so much room, but
they do.
Me and my brother looked for years to get a WrestleFest. We had an apartment together, and we were going to get WrestleFest, but then we're like, didn't want to spend $800 to get it.
Oh no! Yeah,
I got really lucky and found mine for $100. So
yeah, that cabinet's super light too.
Yeah, it's super light too. Yeah, 4-player ones are always light. That's another thing.
I can read the sarcasm in case our listeners can't.
Oh, I also had Top Golf. What year I don't remember.
What's Top? Does it play like the whole big rolly?
Yeah, the rolly ball. Yep, I had that.
What is that called? It's not called the rolly ball. We should do better than that.
Track ball.
Track ball.
It's a track ball. Yeah, rolly ball. No, the track ball. I had that also.
Benjamin's the 90-year-old grandmother.
What's the rolly ball?
What's it? A rolly ball.
I fell off of it in weights class. Right? Have you ever seen elderly yoga?
Yeah.
Don't put them on an exercise ball. They learn from that. Anyway, okay. What about you, Adam?
I've had a few. So the first one I ever bought actually was that Asteroids from Shane, and that one's super cool because it's from 1979.
Yeah.
It's just super old. It's got a vector monitor on it, so when you turn it on, it
buzzes.
Goes,
yeah,
and then it just buzzes the entire time. So it sounds like it's going to burn your house down.
Well, it also has graphics on the screen, cardboard graphics,
super bright. Yeah, it's got these cardboard cutouts.
Around it. It's super cool.
Yeah, it's really neat. But yeah, so I've got the Asteroids cabinet, which I still suck at. I would like to be good at it, but
you're not bad actually, Shane.
I'm okay.
Yeah. We played it in Portland at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, which I think we talked about episode 2-ish or whatever. And I watched you play, and you're pretty good.
I like that. Yeah, I'm actually okay at that one. Yeah.
I go through spurts where I'm kind of okay, and then I think, man, I'm getting really good. And then I play it some more, and I'm like, I really suck. I'm never going to get any better. But so I have it. I've got a dual driver Cruisin' World.
Yeah, that's
Cruisin'
cool.
World is sit down.
Yeah, so that's 2 cabinets that set next to each other. and they have the seats and the force feedback steering wheels, or it's just like Cruising USA or Cruising Exotica.
Yeah,
that sounds super light. To carry.
Yeah, those things are mega. they when I sell my house, those are going with the house. They're never coming out of the basement because gravity says no.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know how you got them down there,
but it's actually kind of it's sort of akin to the building of the pyramids, getting those things down there. It was quite an ordeal. But what's cool is the two cabinets you can race head to head against one another, and they actually hooked together through an old parallel printer cable. And if you open up the backs of them, the motherboards in them are like 3 feet wide.
Oh, really?
I mean, they're just enormous. There's like the chipset, like there's just more silicon and pieces of stuff in those cabinets and it's amazing. And even the force feedback steering columns in them are like big and have a whole bunch of stuff all around them.
Yeah.
And I've actually got to fix one because one of the pins in the little steering column has gotten a little bit loose, and so I need to take it apart and put a new pin in it and tighten it back up. But I've got those. I had a multicade that was put into a Virtua Fighter 2 cabinet.
Yep.
And that is also a massive cabinet, and that had 619 games on it.
You still have that
cool.
one?
No, I sold that one.
Oh, okay.
And
that one's cool.
Primarily because it wouldn't fit down the stairs, and so it had to be upstairs, and it just took up a ton of space. So I eventually had to get rid of it. But it was really cool. I really enjoyed it while I owned it and played it a lot. And now I have a Nintendo Play Choice 10.
That's super cool.
Yeah, so describe that for some people that don't know.
Yeah, so Play Choice 10 is basically an NES on steroids. It's just the Nintendo Entertainment System, and it has interchangeable cartridges, and it will hold 10 different quote-unquote cartridges. These aren't really cartridges; they're actually little boards that go into the board in the back. But I can't remember off the top of my head. There was, I think, 43 or so different games, 50-ish different games built for it. But you can swap them out. You can buy new games, put them in. So. Like Contra and Punch Out, and even
Turtles, right? I think, or no?
Turtles? What?
I'm not sure. Yeah, Turtles was. But I obviously don't have it. But baseball, like tennis, some of the black box games,
golf,
golf.
All of those have Play Choice versions. So I have that. And for a while, I'd actually go home every night and try to speed run Mario Brothers 1 on it. I kind of stopped doing that, and because my goal was always to beat Mario 1 on a single life without any warps.
Yeah.
Just play through it and never die.
That's ambitious.
That is really ambitious.
It is. I can get to like 8-3 without dying.
How long does it take you to get to 8-3 though?
Oh, not that long. And when I'm talking speed run, I'm running the whole time.
Cool.
Really? So maybe 12, 15, longer than that.
So do you think it's easier? So if it's on an arcade,
yeah.
Do you think it's easier with the joystick than a controller?
Oh yeah.
Really?
No, it's easier. I think I'm exaggerating. I said 12 or 15, but it's got to be at least 30 minutes or so to get to the end. But yeah, I mean, if you're running the whole way through, it actually goes by pretty quick.
It feels like you're blazing through it.
But yeah, it's got this really nice. It's not a standard arcade joystick. It's like this little short thing, and it actually is really responsive and it plays really well. And I also have a Nintendo Red Tent, which you also have one, Benjamin.
We talked about that on a previous episode.
And it's got the same kind of arcade paddle on it. And then I also have a Lethal Weapon 3 pinball machine.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
You never played? We haven't
played the pinball yet.
Yeah, we haven't. I actually played it a lot when I first got it, but the little plunger that works on it, I've got to buy a new one. It's like all pinballs; they always break.
Yeah.
You
you almost have to be like a mechanic with the pinballs.
Yeah, so
that's why I always stayed away from.
Well, I was going to say I got a
incapacitated.
guy finally. So in this area, there's one guy who it's kind of a perfect scenario. He's like super smart, like not retired engineer, but anyway, his wife is a physician or a surgeon or something. So he just does this for fun. He goes around Kansas City and does house calls and fixes all your games. And he totally tuned up my 2 pinballs a couple years ago, which just was awesome. Like did all the ROMs, like all this extra random stuff that
It's
I didn't
hard
even
to
know was
find
wrong.
people to work on.
Oh, and he was so
anymore.
inexpensive. I mean, this was a couple years ago. He's still around, but he was in my house for probably 7 hours, and just it was nothing. It ended up being like $12 an hour. I ended up paying the guy to do everything.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
he
that's
fixed
a good
everything.
deal.
So, yeah, it was crazy. But you could tell he does it for fun. He doesn't really do it for the money, but he's got to make it worth somewhat of his time and the drive and everything. Yeah. Were those all your arcades?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. I have the luxury since we're down here, I can just look around to see what I got. I have that red tent too, although mine is now green. It is a green tent, which I got at an auction. And the reason why it's green is I painted it because inside was the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade JAMA. So it is a Nintendo red tent that is modified to run arcades, and it's a 2-screen, and it plays the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Did you modify it to where the legs are that tall, or does it actually go that tall?
Well, okay, so the red tent can be like, it actually goes that tall.
Okay.
It can be adjusted. The problem is it's kind of there and going to stay that way.
There.
Because that thing's so heavy and the bolts are rusted, I
Uh-huh.
kind of wouldn't mind it going down. But now you can sit on a stool, and
Yeah.
it's basically a standing game. But since there's four turtles and 4 different little joystick things, and I kind of like cleaned it up. I got it for a really good deal because it was red and kind of beat up, but I saw that it was, hey, it's the original Ninja Turtles. I got it back in like 2007 or something, where our generation of games were still pretty cheap.
Yeah. The good old days.
Yeah, and I was able to get it for a good little deal. But I love that one. At parties, everybody loves playing that. And then also continuing my Turtles theme, I've got a Ninja Turtles pinball machine.
That's super freaking awesome.
Yeah,
That thing is so awesome.
I get that one when you die.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Yeah, and I've totally
We fight for that.
I don't really do toys or something, but I got a little Ninja Turtles corner. I'll have to put this on the Twitters and
Yeah,
the
you're
Facebook.
going to have to do that.
Show that off.
Show it off.
Yeah, I got a
definitely.
cool little poster of all the old Turtles video games and some of my old toys and things like that. And then Jurassic Park pinball.
Super awesome, too.
Good, man. I know we're going around our thing, but good memories about that because there's a local pizzeria place called Minsky's Pizza. And at one location, they had the Jurassic Park pinball.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom would give me quarters, and I would play that one over and over, and I loved it. It's got the T-Rex that chomps down.
Yeah, it goes right on you. Oh, that's so
I got
awesome.
that local. If some random guy, I got that locally, 2000, probably 7, something like that.
Yeah.
And it came with the topper, and the topper, those don't know pinball, it's kind of the little random. Actually, both of them have their topper on it.
Yeah, they're like an add-on.
An add-on,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
And it's just a little plastic thing or something, even though they barely fit down here because the ceiling is low. The only thing that was missing was the amber, the little amber piece with the mosquito.
With the
Mosquito. Yep.
But I found that on eBay one day and then just glued it on there. I didn't have the brackets, so it's on there with super glue, but it works. The other thing I have is a Nudget, NUDGE-IT. It's weird because it looks like a pinball, but it's actually just a chance game where you shoot a ball and it goes 1 in 6
It's
chance.
like a kid's pinball, pretty much.
Yeah, it's like a little kid's pinball, but it's kind of gambly. Like
Yeah.
they had one. The only reason I knew about it was they had one in the Aladdin's Castle when I was growing up, and we would play it in the 1 in 6 chance. If you missed the 6, you get 2 tickets, but if you got it, you got 40 tickets, and it was only 1 token.
Yeah.
So me and a buddy back in the day got a lot of our tickets that way. And then I've got a multicade. I finally got a MAME. I was kind of against it. I was such a purist. I was like, I don't like multicades; they're inauthentic. But then coming down here, there's only so much space you have,
Yeah.
and there's a few more arcades that I'd love to get.
That you will never find.
And I just thought, hey, and so what's neat about it is I got it from a local kind of arcade vendor. Because it uses the old monitor, not the LED, he kind of sold it for cheaper, and because the outside still had a previous. What does that say on the side of it? It's like Action Nero. So it's this
Yeah.
weird arcade I never saw until I went to Portland. It's called Action Nero or Action Hero Nero or something.
action, yeah.
And it's a light gun game, but they changed it out to make it 2 joysticks and a 6-button pusher, and it's got the 690 games in there. It has the old NES stuff.
Jackson Nero Action Hero.
Jackson Nero
That's a
Action Hero.
mouthful.
Okay,
Wow.
thanks. Yeah, but it's great. It's got the Game Elf, I think, inside of it.
Yeah.
You've seen that before, so you can get that thing and modify your own. But it has basically everything in it outside of Mortal Kombat. Anything that uses this kind of different type of CRT monitor that you can't really swap out for the norm. But everything else you can think of, from Galaga to all the Street Fighters, King of Fighters,
for whatever it's worth too. And I don't. I mean, I'm kind of a purist, I guess, but not really, since I owned a multicade too. Don't buy one with an LCD. Like, every time I see a multicade playing games from 1985 on like a 1080 LCD monitor, it makes me want to throw up.
Well,
like,
at least get
like
one
garbage.
that's at least get one that's more squared off, like a flat screen that's super
Yeah,
squared
I
off,
guess,
because
but
then it fills the whole screen more.
Well, I just don't like them. I would just as soon have a crappy old monitor that's all yellowed out.
with burn-in.
Yeah, with burn-in on it and the whole thing. But really, I mean, these old CRTs, if you get them and they've been fixed and recapped and all that kind of stuff, God, they look so much better.
I know. And luckily this
and
one
they're cheaper
has
too, usually.
Yeah, and luckily this one has a CRT. It's a bigger one too. It's a bigger size, like a 27 or 29 inch. And if it goes out, you can always then swap it with another worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario. You got to do what you got to do.
And then I've got the original Outrun Cade. I got that also at an auction. This is all like, there was an arcade auction that's now not here anymore, but it was before the our Great Depression, our recession. There we go.
Yeah.
And I got it for like $150, $120. Really like the old Outrun. I also have a 4-player X-Men, the X-Men cabinet. Yep. Now, not the big cabinet, and it's actually a rededicated one.
It's a little bit smaller. Yeah, it is smaller.
It's a little smaller than the original, but it is a arcade cabinet. It has all the other stuff. So, a lot of arcades you can swap out the games when they get old and this kind of thing. But it's got the side art. I found the right shade of purple and painted the side of it.
That's cool.
And luckily the console part of it with the joysticks were always there. Yeah. And it was modified too, so then you don't have to flip the quarters. You could just push those buttons down there, and each button will give you a few lives. That's
very nice.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I also got like a little multi-touch arcade, some pachinkos, and some pachizlos, which are, just fun little...
Cheetos?
Yeah.
Those sound yummy.
The little Japanese slot machines I got when those were pretty cheap. But yeah, those are all our arcades. And the big thing about Turtles and X-Men those were the ones that I played as a kid.
Every kid played
all
those.
the time.
Yeah,
and having that now, like... I feel really fortunate that I got in it at a good time.
Yeah, you got in it at a very good time.
The way I noticed to get it, because I got those both, we're talking like 10 years ago, I'm the same way you are, Adam. When I sell this house, sorry, I can't lift these things ever again. As much as I love them, whoever likes them, hopefully will pay full asking price or whatever, and it keeps them down here. Because I don't have a walkout basement or anything, so I had to like load all these down, and buddies helped me move them and stuff and move them around. But anyway, I noticed when I was at an auction, this would be about 2004, that Pac-Man, which is very simple, rudimentary game, a little before my time, Pong's early. Those were selling for like $700-800.
Yeah.
And then the ones from my generation, when I saw like Afterburners one cab, I would still somehow find a way to shoehorn in here.
Yeah.
Because that cab is amazing.
Yeah.
I missed
with that joystick and stuff.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
That's a cool game.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Arcades with like dedicated like sticks, or just have like the gimmick like Guerrilla Warfare where you could spin them.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I love arcades like that.
That actually has like the coolest controller on it.
Yeah, where you could spin it 360.
Or Revolution X by Aerosmith. I'm just kidding. Those are always around, but they're always broken. I love it. That one and Terminator. I actually like Revolution X a lot.
I do too, yeah.
I would pick that for my video game book club for like my Super Nintendo. It's a stupid game, but just it was so fun.
Yeah. It's a product of its time.
Yeah, it is very much. It is really weird, but there's Easter eggs and things in there where you can like go in the bathroom if you shoot out the bathroom button, and then the quasi strippers that you're saving by shooting them, which doesn't make much sense. But yeah, that's a fun game. But anyway, I was fortunate enough to kind of think like the only difference with why these are selling for triple as opposed to my games, which I think are superior, even though it's all relative. I would have thought Pac-Man was the age of the guys, and those guys were in their 30s, and I was in my early 20s, and the only difference is you have money, more money when you're older. So I thought, the games that I want are going to be more expensive. I got to figure out a way to get them now. And I did. Like my Turtles one, I paid $180 for. My X-Men that I have right here was, I think, $220, and that was eBay.
Yeah.
And now,
you don't get those prices anymore.
No, and they go for $1,500.
It's crazy.
I couldn't believe, like, when I got my arcade cabinets that I sold, I paid $100 a piece for them, and I went to some guy's apartment and bought them, and I mean, that was the cheapest arcades I ever seen, and they worked flawlessly. I mean, they were nice.
Yeah.
So you just don't get that anymore. Yeah, you're way ahead of your time.
Yeah, and there was two actually. So I sold two. Did I tell you about this? I had two when I was renting a house that I just felt like I had too many, and I had them all in the garage. One was Radmobile. Have you guys ever played that?
I haven't heard that one.
So Radmobile, if you ever saw the movie Encino Man, it's the game that he plays. And here's a pro tip, Shane. Go ahead.
Pro tip.
Okay, thank you. Pro tip was Radmobile was the first time that Sonic the Hedgehog was ever showed in a video game.
Oh, really?
And he is dangling from the mirror.
Rearview
that's
mirror.
right.
Yeah,
He's
That's
dangling
right.
from the
Okay,
rearview
I had
mirror.
heard that.
And
yeah.
that
I've
game,
seen that.
I hate to say this because Outrun's right behind me and it might fall forward and knock me over. Outrun is so iconic, but actually, I like playing Radmobile better because there was a button on the cabinet that you could turn your windshield wipers on and a button that you could turn your lights on.
Yeah.
And it's just a stand-up driver. But as far as like, it's a little newer, so it probably would have held up better. I sold that one. I also sold Super High Impact Football.
Oh yeah.
Which back in the day, I loved, sports as a kid.
Yeah.
And like, professional football. And this was before NFL Blitz.
Yeah.
And it's an
yeah.
arcade
I
football
played this
game.
one. Yep.
I actually really like Blitz.
Yeah,
Blitz is awesome.
Blitz,
Yeah.
Blitz is great.
You would like this game. You never played this
Yeah, I
before?
don't think I ever
you
played
So
love it.
this goes
It's good.
left to right instead of north and south with
Yep.
Blitz, and it was still before like 3D graphics, but it was so over the top. When you get 2 quarterback sacks, this guy comes on screen and says, "I eat quarterbacks for breakfast."
Yeah.
And his face, so they aren't able to show full motion video, so it's literally a face making a mouth and opening and closing just by switching like a screen. So it looks like and there's this
So
guy.
it looks like a ventriloquist with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Yep.
And the guys are obviously not football players. They're like
Just
beefcake
roided
actors.
out. Yeah, just roided out.
Like
Yeah.
like when you win the game, there's these guys like pouring champagne on each other in this endless loop, and it's pretty homoerotic, to be honest with you. And and like when you hit the guys, if you get a guy hit him really hard, his pads like explode, and they just blow off everywhere. So this guy's like almost naked on the ground, and they're like, "Wicked hit!" And there's this DJ who has a hitometer who, like, if you get a really big hit, he'll like punch through the glass. And
Yep.
it's just so
It's
over the top.
Oh,
Actually, if you're interested, that is a game that you can find for the Genesis or Super Nintendo in the sports sections for
Yeah.
$1.99. They're just like, they sell them just like the Mad.
They're not as good as the arcade, but they're still. Still.
they're not as good. I regret
they didn't port over.
I
good.
regret getting rid of that one too because the team names are really cool. No NFL license. You had like Team Africa versus Team Europe and stuff.
Yep.
But anyway, I wish you regret getting rid of your systems. I kind of regret getting rid of both of those. But
Yeah.
Because we all know how popular American football is in Europe and Africa.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking, but they got it right with Blitz, a Blitz cabinet, and NBA Jam. I mean, those were awesome.
Yeah.
Those were a little like, I'm sure guys a little younger than us, those would be the ones that they would go for. And I used to see those at the auctions all the time, but those went for a good amount of money because they're good bang for your buck. Totally
So what do you
fun.
guys play as a kid? Like Adam, what do you play as a kid then?
So yeah, going
When you went
off-
to the good old arcade.
Well, I grew up like out in the sticks, and I mean like fairly far out in the country, and
Oh,
well, I guess back in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
So, well, I guess I should back up. I grew up in Tulsa when I was really young,
Yeah.
and so the first games I can really remember playing, actually X-Men. I remember playing at a pizza place in Oklahoma, and they had this place called Crystal Pizza, which was kind of like Chuck E. Cheese before Chuck E. Cheese, I guess. But
Yeah.
but you would go, and it had a lot of arcade games, and honestly, I was like 5, so I don't even remember any specific ones that well. But it also had the games that you would, if you can call them games, but you would put a quarter in, and it was like a helicopter. You'd get in the helicopter, it'd raise up, and like simulate the simulated rides, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
You get
yeah.
in, and there'll be a little car
Yeah,
that would bounce
that's
up and
cool.
down, and those little mechanical things. So I guess that was my first experience with arcades that I ever had was actually going to that pizza place and experiencing those sorts of things. And then, at the pizza place, they had an X-Men game, and then they also had the Addams Family.
Never played
Pinball. Yeah, it's like super high money.
Oh,
now.
Adam's Family Pinball.
Oh,
Yeah.
pinball. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
the Addams Family Pinball goes for like $12,000 now. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Oh,
and,
wow.
and
But-
in great shape, and it should be, to be honest.
Yeah,
with
it's
you,
a
'cause
super good
great
pinball.
game.
But,
It's a
but
great game.
that was my first experience I ever had with pinball. I used to play it every time we went to the pizza place. And then as I got a little bit older, we moved way out into the country. But about once or twice a month, really about every 2 weeks, we would go into. We were big roller skaters.
Oh, yeah.
So this was.
You know how to roller skate? That's throwing me
I
off.
don't.
roller
I don't.
skate.
I don't know that I still can, but
I see.
But back at the time,
Dude, I don't know if I can either. Like, looking back on it, I feel like I would just bust my.
I used to feel like I was
I never
really
went
good
because
at
I
it.
couldn't roller skate.
I
I
did.
tried to do the stop go game, and I'd
Oh,
be always
yeah.
dead last, not because I get sent back because I couldn't go
No,
forward.
I always
remember
felt like I was really good at it, man. We would go every
do
2 weeks
limbo.
or so.
yeah,
and-
limbo. Ugh.
and
What was yours called? Ours is called Skate World.
Ours was Skate Land.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ours was Skate City. Skate City. Yeah.
So
wait
it's
a
always
second.
Land, City, or World,
You know what?
right?
I think this is how Super Mario got its land, city, world. We need to find a Skate Odyssey.
A Skate Odyssey.
Skate Odyssey. There's
There
probably
you
one
go.
out there, I
Skate
imagine.
Galaxy.
But no,
Anyway.
so you would go skate and you would, try to show off to your friends how much faster you were or not faster or whatever. And,
Yeah. Ride the wall.
But they had, of course, like every other skating rink, they had an arcade sort of off to the side.
Yep.
And so in that arcade, they had a big red monster over there, 4-slot Neo Geo arcade cabinet. And so, and they did change the games out on that a couple of times, but I remember playing Samurai Showdown a lot on it.
Yep.
I remember playing Metal Slug on it.
Metal Slug, yep, great.
They had like one of those weird Japanese pain games. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but you're a little guy that runs around and he shoots a rope up, and then there's these bubbles that go around.
Yeah, there's
and when they
always
hit,
one
they
in there.
divide.
Yeah, they'd always do a puzzle game.
And I
Yep.
actually kind of liked that game. But really, it was Samurai Showdown. I think that I actually really remember because it had this cool scaling, and it just looked. It and Metal Slug both just looked so awesome.
Yeah.
So I remember playing those a lot. And then next to that big red monster was the Ninja Turtles arcade, which became Ninja Turtles 2 on the NES.
Oh yeah, I thought you were gonna say Turtles in Time 2 was the other arcade.
Yeah,
that was really
yeah.
good,
No,
but
this one was before that, and that game was just mind blowing at the time.
yeah.
And
I just want to play it right now. Actually, We can
Yeah.
just stop the podcast and pop it in.
I would play that thing. I played that one probably more than any of them. But
Me too.
and of course that was an old Konami game,
Yep.
and I just throw quarters into that and play it and play it and play it. And I remember one Christmas I was begging my mom, like, I want Ninja Turtles for the Nintendo so I could play it at home. And I would beg and beg and beg. And so for Christmas, I got Ninja Turtles. And it's not my mom's fault. So, Mom.
I think I know where this is going.
This is
Ma.
not your fault, Mom. Because she asked me which one. Because we were like at Walmart and there was 2 Ninja Turtle games for the NES. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's that one, Mom. And I pointed at the Ultra. Nintendo's Turtles game, which is Turtles 1, which is the one that everybody hates.
Yeah.
So I got that one for Christmas, and I remember just being like the fibers of my being were just destroyed. When I got the wrong game, because of course you couldn't take your games back right after you opened them or whatever. So I opened it up, put it in the Nintendo, and I'm like, oh my god, it's not the right game.
It's a crappy Turtles
Yeah,
game.
so I felt really bad, but I did eventually get Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, and I actually got Ninja Turtles 3, for NES after that.
Now hold on, I've got to ask, because you had the 2 and you were looking at the front of the box. Did they not have the back of the box? Because you would have known if you were a kid looking at the back of the
it
box.
was like just like it was
Plate
the regular
glass.
sort of it had the plate glass on the front,
So you couldn't actually
and so
hold
you
it
couldn't-
before.
and so you
I
couldn't get your
imagine.
hands on it and that sort of thing because Walmart apparently knows what little boys do to video games, and so you couldn't actually touch it. It was just in there. But I distinctly remember pointing at the wrong one. She got the one I told her to get, but it wasn't the right one.
It's okay, Ma.
Yeah. So those are the ones that I primarily remember playing. Of course, there was air hockey and and other things. And I remember an arcade injury that I had at one point playing air hockey because I was using the little paddle or whatever you call it, that you're hitting the puck with. And I had my pinky finger on the outside of that dude, and I took a puck to the pinky fingernail and just turned purple and like fell off. A little while after that. Yeah,
Really?
Oh, it hurt so bad.
You got a carny finger? Is it back?
No,
is your
it's
fingernail
back. You can't
Okay.
tell any. I've had several plastic surgery reconstructions on my pinky fingernail, and it looks pristine.
Your carny finger.
Yeah, carny finger.
I was gonna say, oh, this is my strong arm.
This is my strong finger. Let me get you a beer.
Yeah, no, I almost became a carny right then and there.
Yep.
No offense, carnies.
Oh, man, I'm sure carnies are listening to this. It's great. They're outside my
We might
house right
have
now
carny fans. You don't know.
with knives. Carnies scared the crap out of me. Anyway, I digress. Tiny hands smell like what was that from Austin Powers? Smell like what did carnies smell like?
I can't remember.
I don't know.
Oh man,
I just know that Tiny Hand was a scary movie, right? Where he's like,
Yeah,
"Grab
take my little hand.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the strong one.
yeah, dude, Austin Powers. Sorry to get too off, but I randomly watched that again a few weeks ago or months ago or something.
I need
like
to
that.
rewatch that.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, I haven't seen
and
it forever.
There's a couple things that happened to me. I ended up because they were free on Amazon Prime or something like that, or I watched them when I can't remember what the. Oh no, I was like doing something. I was like arranging something or organizing something or cleaning something in the house, and it was on the background.
Yeah,
and I feel like this is a good opportunity where we turned into dads and old men compared to it was a time and place. The jokes are so lame.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are like really funny. Like I forget that, when he's like the power of Christ compels you and he throws holy water on his chair. Like, oh yeah, that's from that movie. Yeah. And I still, when something bugs out and goes crazy, I'm like, let's get some holy water. And it's from that.
It's a good quote.
And the Fat, family podcast. His name is Fat. Turd, right? We know what that means. We know what his name.
Yeah,
but like
all
his
that
whole,
means is his mother wasn't married.
Yeah, his mother wasn't married.
It's not even a curse word.
Female dog. Anyway, that movie, it's still actually really funny. The jokes, like seeing that young Will Ferrell, I'm so badly burned. Can someone please? I'm still alive here.
You burned me again.
It was the first. It was the first example where the jokes like keep going on longer. But honestly, they don't make movies like that anymore. I think because now everything's kind of Judd Apatow, where everybody's like kind of keeps talking like you're on a podcast and just keeps the joke going that way. But that one was just such a parody of nothingness of just basically James Bond. But, judo jump.
Yeah,
he's just so and then he did that same character in like Love Guru, which was terrible, and like Cat in the Hat and all this other stuff. But anyway, you should watch it after not watching it for like 20 years. Or whatever. Actually, it's probably been like 20 years since it came out.
It's like 20 years old.
Yeah, we're
it's
old.
97, 96. So that movie is like 20 years old.
Yeah, we're old.
So that means people in their high school came out before their. Oh man, I need to shut up. I can't think about that anymore. I remember. Oh my gosh. But anyway, I feel like a lot of the jokes are so beyond lame. Like now, I'd been like, oh, that movie's not very good. It's kind of lame. It's kind of like I guess the
kids nowadays wouldn't definitely get it. Yeah.
But it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think about it probably like because some of the Mel Brooks movies, back before I came out, like
that's
History of the World or whatever.
Yep.
Like the early Mel Brooks movies, like I still appreciate them, but at the same time, like I don't appreciate them like I would have had I been around really for them. But his later movies like Spaceballs especially Spaceballs.
What about Robin Hood Men in Tights?
Oh yeah, Robin Hood Men in Tights. Like all of those are the funniest thing I've ever seen.
I wouldn't be worried about being pissed off. I'd be worried about being pissed on. Isn't that Dave Chappelle?
Yeah, I think it is actually. Yeah, it's Dave Chappelle.
Oh man, that's good stuff. Anyway, sorry, we go back to our arcade memories. You were talking about how much you love Ninja Turtles. Now let's say we're being dads. Soon to be for me, but we had a game night recently, had our kids around, watching them interact with things. Now the Showbiz Pizza and things, a lot of it's redemption games.
Yeah,
not so much arcade stuff anymore.
Yeah, not too much arcade
for
stuff.
our kiddos.
It's all about the tickets, man.
Yeah, it's all about the tickets.
It is, and I will say I love tickets. We always had tickets as a kid as well. I still have a whole bag. Shane's seen them, a whole bag of Aladdin's. Aladdin's Castle was our local one. I'm interested to know people if they had Aladdin's Castle everywhere
That's what
else.
we had. I had to go to the mall and play arcades.
Yeah, we had one in our mall, and there's a chance that this Nudget game was the one from our mall because I looked up and found out they only made 52 of them. So I have one of 52. And I mean, it's funny.
You probably have the only one left of 52.
No, I saw another one, but I got on Craigslist for $100.
Yeah.
Back in the whatever. But there's a chance that might have been the one, obviously, that was that I played. But who knows? It's hard telling because maybe they were all just in Aladdin's castles. But kids nowadays, they've got that, the big wheels. They're kind of like slot machines in terms of they're more expensive. There's not much to them. And
They interactive games too, like where they kick the ball. They do a lot of the push coin stuff. Like everything is like.
But we had the ski one with the big CRT monitors, But those are like you see those like broken on auctions all the time. You know the ones that like are surfboards and things like that.
Stuff, skater one.
Yeah. Crazy Taxis. The drivers are still there. Luckily, the driving games are still.
The driving games are still there. Yep, and they always do those.
Those are a ton of fun. But obviously now,
but even even the quote unquote adult arcade / restaurant kind of places like Dave and Buster's.
Okay, thanks. I thought you were talking about some red light district.
No, not those.
The adult arcade.
But the places that like the quote unquote arcades that advertise to adults. Dave and Buster's would be the biggest one.
Yeah.
But like you go in and even those are nothing but almost
nothing
like
but jump
redemption.
rope. They have like a jump rope one.
Yeah,
it's like come on.
It's
man.
like you walk in and it's like pull this lever and then it'll randomly land on something and then give you tickets so you can buy some crap that's cheaper than the meal you just ate.
Sure.
You know,
We're really lucky though in Kansas City though, because we do have like a few places. Like there's a new one that just opened up, like T9 Arcade. It's a bar and it has craft beer and stuff.
They're called barcades.
Yeah, barcades. Exactly.
Yes, that is true. I wouldn't have thought.
I think that's on the rise right now. So that's really good.
Most big cities have these things. And how would you describe it? It's basically a huge bar that has a bunch of retro arcades. And,
yep.
Yeah, and we have one called Up Down here in our hood, and it has honestly just about anything you'd want to play is there.
They do a really good job in picking the games.
Yeah, super busy, but I heard we still need to do this, guys. I've heard there's some sort of like quarter night or dime night or something where all the games are like a dime or a quarter or something like that, including the pinballs, and they've got probably 15 or 20 of them, and they're all good shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was down in Oklahoma, of course, here recently, and my wife and I and both my brothers went to a Flashback Retro Pub in downtown Oklahoma City, and this one's really cool. They have a whole big long wall, or actually two big long walls of arcades, and they especially have a lot of like really old arcades. Like they have original Mario Brothers, Popeye, cool. Original Space Invaders. Like they have a lot of the really older stuff, nice games, and but it's cool. They're all free.
Oh, really?
Like you go in, and
so as long as you go buy
if you go in and I mean, I'm sure they want you to buy some stuff while you're there.
Yeah.
But all the games are completely free.
That's
you just
awesome.
walk in and you just
good.
play as much as you want. And they actually have Ninja Turtles the arcade there as well.
Whoa!
So guess what I played? But along with a lot of other things.
Pulled the seat up and started playing.
Yeah, but you can go in and play anything. If nobody's on it, it's yours. And you can play it as much as you want to. No extra quarters, no wristband, no so much money for so much time.
That's awesome.
Like you just show up, and the people there were really nice. I had a really good time. We spent all afternoon there.
Well, we know. I mean, honestly, okay. So the real reason we keep saying like, oh, back in my day, but what did arcades have back in the day that your home consoles didn't have? I mean, they were superior.
They were
superior.
superior.
As soon as home consoles caught up, which I kind of remember this, you guys could have different opinions, but I remember, seeing the arcades, it just looked so much better than your home console. But when when actually the Dreamcast came out, so you're
that's
talking
exactly
late 90s,
the system I was going to say.
That's what you're going to say. Because, I mean, of course, there's something called the Sega Naomi, which is basically a Dreamcast that they put in arcade. And that's why a reason why Dreamcast is very beloved is it's pretty arcade perfect.
That is pretty arcade
for a
perfect.
lot of their games, like their Dynamite Cop,
and you could afford it. Like there was the Neo Geo AES, but that thing you could not afford. That thing was ridiculous.
Yeah, and it was.
I don't even count that.
Yeah, and more obscure, and there weren't as many. It wasn't as mass. I mean, they knew that, right, with the price.
Yeah,
but the Dreamcast, I remember, it's like you're not. That it looks like the arcade.
Yeah.
And I remember the one time I saw something that still looked really futuristic. It happened to be a Sega driving game where it was so fluid and good looking. And then I ended up playing like a driving game for the Dreamcast. So I was like, this looks just like the arcade. And we're done.
Yeah, the one that sold me, and I remember Soul Blade and Soul Calibur before the Dreamcast came out. I remember going to the arcades and being like, nothing will ever look better than this ever. Yeah. Like we have reached the pinnacle of technology. This is the end. We can all die now.
Yep.
The singularity has occurred, and then like a year later or 2 years later, whatever, I'm at my buddy's house and we're unboxing his brand new Dreamcast right on the launch, and then we put in Soul Calibur, and I was like, oh my God, this is the singularity. Yeah,
it's home.
Like I could not believe how much. I mean, it may even be superior to what the arcade was.
It might be.
God, it was so good.
Yeah, it is. It is better.
Yeah.
Soul Calibur, to this day, everybody kind of say it was a launch game. Sorry, biased here. I think Dreamcast still to this day is the best launch lineup of any system.
It was a good one.
It was really good. Yeah. But anyway, the Soul Calibur game was one that now people still, and if you look at it, and if it's popped up to its kind of highest quality that you can get if you do it through a VGA monitor, it looks like an early 360 and PS3 game, which is 7-8 years after that came out.
I go back and play the sports games still because they hold up really well. Because I like the way the 2K games play on there.
Yeah.
And I love the old rosters because a lot of my players I liked on that. It looks really good.
I still think that the Dreamcast looks better than the PS2. I like the games.
Yeah.
But, and I know not everybody would agree with that, but I really like the way the Dreamcast looks.
Well, and it also helps that the VGA monitor and the PS2 is hard to get out of any kind of HD.
Yeah.
You know, because you can't, right? Like the Xbox, you can. Dreamcast is VGA.
Yeah, my Dreamcast, I have a VGA, and then you can do this for like $15 on Amazon.
HDMI.
Yeah, you get a VGA output to an HDMI, and then you can hook it up to any TV you want.
Or you could just do $2 and get an RF.
Yeah, yeah, go
Make
RF,
it look like
go
crap.
RF with it. Yeah, but
I love my RF.
but the funny thing about that VGA is, you know, there are 3 Dreamcast games that don't work with VGA output.
Yes, but I don't remember which one.
One of them is Bangayo, which I own.
Oh, wow.
And Bangayo doesn't work with it, and that was the game of all the games, Dreamcast games I have. When I got my VGA adapter, I had Bangayo in the system, and I'm like, why is this thing not working? I'm like taking everything apart, like kicking chairs, you know, like all upset because I can't get the stupid Dreamcast to work and everything else.
Yeah.
And then I looked it up online, and they're like, oh yeah, Bangayo doesn't work with VGA, and I'm like, oh.
Dang it.
Crap.
Yeah, and actually, I had spent like all day trying to get this thing to work right, and then I just put it in a different disc, and boom, works.
Give up the aspirate.
Yeah, I even changed out Dreamcast consoles, like all this stuff, trying to get it to work, and it was just that game.
The other thing I think that's really neat about the arcade is it's something that seemed kind of adult when you're a kid, and you know, adults weren't very into it, but you would see like let's say older, you would see older kids too, like let's say teenagers, and you'd watch them play.
Yeah,
like,
if you're like an 8-year-old kid, you would see like a 16-year-old, and they're trying to be like them.
Yeah, did you ever have the thing where Mortal Kombat's what I remember this?
That's
with
what I
in
was
particular.
about to say.
There would be like one kid who was like 16 and super cool.
Yeah,
you know, and he would be just destroying it on Mortal Kombat, and people would be watching.
Yep,
and you'd be kind of behind, sort of watching what he was doing.
And you almost want to step up and take him down.
Sort of. Well, no, you would, and then you get your hind end handed to you, you know. But yeah, there was sort of this kind of like machismo kind of thing in the arcades. It was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But it was cool to see. I mean, it was sort of like bragging rights, and of course, you know, at the end of the game, you get to put your initials in.
Initials in. That's another thing too.
You're immortalized. You know, there are many epitaphs talking about people's high scores on. You know, whatever.
I love the fact, you know, my name could be BEN, so that was easy to do. Did you guys actually use your things?
I just used my initials.
Yeah, I used my initials. Yeah.
I just did Ben because that worked out. But
yeah, it's funny because every time like the game, it goes to the credits or the high scores or whatever. It'd be like Ben, you know, number 3, and the other 9 names are ass.
Yep. There's always ass on there. Yep.
Yeah. I was gonna say that reminds me. There was one game randomly for the Nintendo 64, San Francisco Rush, which I will allude to. Actually, someone in the email mentioned this as well, but this is completely different. San Francisco Rush for the 64 would let you put in a long name, like up to 10 characters. And of course, when I came out, how old was I? Like 15 or something like that. I of course put in all the cuss words you can think of, the ones that or all the lewd, like the ones that begin with the P, the F, the S, even getting pretty graphic, and it would, you know, star them out. It would show you the beginning letter and the last letter, and in between it would start out. So right when you'd hit enter, you'd see if it would
sounds like Nintendo got a hold of that cartridge.
Yeah. Well, I just I thought to myself, like, I wonder all the names that they had to think of to put on there to like X out, because I was thinking of some pretty obscure stuff, like even the correct way. It was like, girls have a vagina, boys have a... Yeah, that kind of thing. And it would still X them out. So I'm like, gosh, I wonder... I just want the library or the little dictionary they have in there of all the bad words.
Well, arcades now, like my dad, so he'd go to the bar, or here recently, about 3 years ago, my dad would always go to the bar and eat lunch at the same bar, and him and like 5 older guys would play this putt-putt game. But you could enter your name, and it was through the internet, so it would be like today's top score, and these guys
through the internet.
Yeah,
what was this?
Yeah, through the interwebs, they were like top score of the day, and they would all have their names on top of there because they sit there all day and know how, like, which specific ways. But yeah, that's the new way of high scores now. Like Golden Tee does
all
it.
the new Golden Tees.
Golden Tees do it.
Yeah, but you're talking, what year was this?
It's like 3 years ago.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, this is new
I thought
memory.
you said when you were a kid.
No,
and
not
your
when I
dad
was
was
a kid.
playing. I was
No.
like, your dad discovered the internet. 'Cause I didn't. This stuff didn't happen recently.
Oh,
sorry,
no, you did not.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, no, that's really fun.
That was Al Gore.
I know. It's like, God, they had some sort of weird internet back then. Good golly, yeah. Yeah.
What games did you play as a kid, Ben? I mean, what do you play?
In the arcade?
Yeah, in the arcade.
I'm kind of the same way. So the Turtles, of course.
Yeah.
I remember I was playing like the sit-down outrun, and my sister goes up to me. She's like, they got to Shredder. And, of course, the kids run out of quarters.
Yep.
And now owning arcades, the people that don't know, you can set the difficulties on the actual boards. The arcade Jamma boards has these little toggles.
When I learned that, I was mad.
Oh,
because I was like, oh, that explains why everything was so hard. Because you could just get the dip switches in there.
Yeah, it would
turn it to easy, and boom, it's all of a sudden a playable game.
So they would make also the quarters, like each quarter. I now have my Turtles that each quarter counts as 10 lives, which is almost too much. And if you want to change or die off, it's like takes a while. But you can set the difficulty, which is basically the cheapness of it on these side scroll beat 'em ups. I really like Turtles. I remember watching somebody beat that. That was like a great little memory back in the day. And I did Showbiz Pizza, Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, Showbiz, man, was the bomb.
X-Men, the big 6-player X-Men where they use like two mirror monitors.
2 monitors.
Two monitors.
Those things, I just, and it comes apart. Like that was at Portland.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
the Beast
the
was?
big one.
Yeah.
The big one.
Wow, that thing's huge.
Yeah, and it worked great. And you can tell now the monitors, you can't get them both to look exactly the same. So you can see the little like change in between. I mean, honestly, it's a lot of the ones I own. I told you about Jurassic Park, playing that pinball. I never played Turtles pinball, but the reason I got it was because of the theme, because I loved it. And I'm glad I did, because it's actually a really fun little pinball.
I actually played that one a lot when I was a kid. I didn't mention it. But yeah, one of the places, one of the restaurants is like a Pizza Hut or something. We used to go eat, had that Turtles pinball with the little spinning pizza on the inside. Yep. It seems like Data East pinballs were the ones that I always saw for the most part growing up.
Yeah, and in the 90s, Data East did some good stuff.
And they're good pinballs. They're really
good pinballs.
And I mean, all pinballs are really expensive, but if you're going to buy pinballs, like mid-90s Data East are actually among the more affordable
for what you get.
Ones. Yeah, for what you get.
Yeah. New pinballs are fun. We talk about that a little bit. Like now it's just Stern and maybe one other company that makes them now.
Yeah, Jersey Jack, I think went out of business. The other one that was making.
Oh, did they? Yeah. And they're pretty cool, but of course these brand new, if you wanted to buy them, they're like $6,000.
Oh yeah, at least. Then if you want to get the ones that actually have all the bells and whistles and doodads on them, they're $10,000. I mean, they're really high.
Yeah. Yeah. They are tough to work on, and it's basically like owning a car, because it's things banging into.
I think that's why a lot of people like them too, is because they could work on them, and then you could add mods to them and do all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
I would love to have my Jurassic Park be LED modded, because both of mine have the bulbs, but I found out that the only way, I wish it would be as easy as just taking the bulbs out or doing something like that, but you actually have to like unscrew all that stuff. Yeah. I even asked that guy, I was like, if he would come here to do it, but the only way he does it is you have to take it to him. Which isn't,
because he'll just pedal when he wants to.
And there's also, I guess, like certain movers, like you can spend like, I think $400 to get a pinball mover, which is like just something that picks it up from the bottom, and then you could just cart it around like a shopping cart.
Yeah.
I want that thing, but I have no justification to own it. But the nostalgia of kind of having a little arcade here is great. And then when I watch people who come down for like a party or something, we all know, because we've got some collections. It's just fun to see people's reactions, because people kind of freak out and then they play the games, and it's really hard to have someone like not at least somewhat interested in this, because they remember it, and most people aren't, dumb, crazy nerd gamers like we are. Having our Video Game Dads podcast in the basement this week, but it's a lot of, and that's kind of like the closest thing to what, I don't know, what we can still do is like going to an arcade, is going to each other's houses.
And then it reminds me sort of an arcade.
Yeah, I don't know. Those are also, any listeners, tell us your arcade memories. You guys got any more things that kind of stood out? Like Showbiz Pizza had the little animatronic.
Yeah, I used to go to Showbiz Pizza a lot when I was a kid, but it closed down sort of when I got about 10 years old. So I went to the arcade a lot at the mall, and I went to Aladdin's Castle.
Yep.
You had Aladdin's Castle?
Which mall were you at?
Manhattan, Kansas.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
No,
so did you guys ever see the holographic arcades?
Yeah, those were cool.
Yeah, I think Sega actually maybe made those, but they had this holographic plate on them. Yep. And they basically, I think, had a laser disc player and projected through these lenses, and then there'd be, the one that I remember playing was this little cowboy guy.
Yeah, the cowboy one.
And
they had that one.
It actually was like a completely politically incorrect game.
Yeah.
But I think there was a little Native American guy that like would jump out from behind a cactus, and it was all it was all QuickTime events.
Yeah.
It was, but you didn't know that because it just looked so.
Oh, it
damn
looked
good.
so cool.
The game you're talking about is Time Traveler.
Time Traveler. That's
Traveler.
it. That's it. Yeah,
Yep.
blew my mind. And I remember even Dragon's Lair, seeing that one, and it, to my child brain, I guess. I didn't realize I really was watching a movie. That it actually is just playing off a laser disc inside the cabinet.
Yeah.
But it just looked so much better and so much different than anything else that was around. At that time, contemporary with it.
Yeah, and it was. I don't know. The size of it was huge. I actually looked for this like way before when I was looking for arcades.
Yeah.
I looked for one of these things on eBay and because once they break, they're really hard to fix. There weren't that many out of them. They only made 2 games for it. One was Time Traveler. One was this actual fighting game.
Yeah.
And that one was do you know what that one was called?
I don't know. I don't think I ever
can't
saw
remember
it.
that one, but I do remember it, but I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, and it was before a QuickTime event was a QuickTime event. Maybe since you played, what was the other one? Space Ace or?
Space Ace was one, but Dragon's Lair.
Dragon's Lair.
Yeah.
So I never played that one. So it was the first time. It felt like it just was so bizarre. And you'd put your hand out and
you could put your hand through the character.
Yeah, I remember in college, so a long time ago, I went and you can rebuy the game on disc and play it right on your laptop, and you just hit left and right to kind of.
Well, did you see like a year or two ago they had Tupac perform a concert or whatever? When I saw that, I thought, I bet they have a Sega arcade cabinet underneath the stage projecting Tupac.
It just brings up great memories. So I guess if you look this up, if you just look up like Time Traveler Sega, you'll see this like weird, almost kind of Dreamcast.
Yeah, I wonder why they never did any more with that technology. Because it was super cool.
Yeah.
It looks so good, and it's funny what they're showing too, are like some of the not VR, but like iToy games for the PlayStation, where augmented reality. It kind of looked like that. So basically, if you've ever played any augmented reality stuff where you held your or Pokemon Go, how about that? Everybody knows that. And it looked like that, except right in front of you. And this is like 1991.
Yeah, it was way forever ago.
Oh man, that's a good pull. That's a great arcade. The fighting game Virtua Fighter, the original
Virtua Fighter.
Yeah, that blew my mind.
I actually have a funny story on the Turtles arcade. So the Turtles 2, was that Turtles in Time?
Turtles in Time.
Turtles in Time. Okay. So I was in the arcade, and normally when I hit the arcade, I would hit every machine and just sort of play it and do like one or two stages, never beat anything.
Okay.
But there was a huge line at Turtles, and I was kept on waiting. And I was weird as a kid. I wanted to play by myself. I didn't want to play with anybody else. Just wanted to do my own thing.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting. Well, I got to take a pee. So I'm sitting there just waiting to take, I'm, come on, guys, like get off the machine. So I'm playing other ones, but I have to go to the bathroom. So I'm like running around the arcade.
Yeah.
I'm probably only like 11 years old, 10.
Okay.
18.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
No.
Even at 10 or 11, that's okay.
Oh, yeah, it's still too much. So I keep waiting. Finally, I get on it, pop my quarter in, I'm playing. I got to go to the bathroom. And I don't want to give up. I don't want to give up this machine.
Whoa.
So I start running to the bathroom because I have to go. I don't make it to the bathroom.
Whoa.
Yeah, don't make it. So at 10 years old, I pee my pants. Yes.
Dude.
Oh my God. I couldn't believe it. So my dad, I do that, and luckily my dad is like, I go in the bathroom and finish because I didn't go completely just fill the pants, but man, it was noticeable. So I always wore sweatpants as a kid. So I take my sweatpants and pull them up like they're shorts to like try to hide it, and then I acted like I washed my hands and sort of sprayed it on me a little bit to act like So man, but then my dad's like, why are you wearing your sweats like that, son? And I'm like, I'm just really hot right now. Can we go home? So I have sort of a raw taste of the Turtles arcade.
This machine's like
so every time I see
it,
So every time I see the Turtles now, I'm like, I don't like you, but I love you, but I don't like you.
And years of therapy later, look at you.
Yeah, look at me now.
You're doing great.
Isn't that fun? Yeah, it'll still do that.
But that was my love for that game, though. I wanted to play it so bad. I peed my pants to play.
Yeah, and now that's what reminds you. So when you hear the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you just
I gotta go to
have
the
this
bathroom.
urge.
Whole thing. I gotta go.
That's so funny what the associations do. So not getting off. I remember there was it's back in college. There was this girl that I always thought was like attractive or whatever, and it was one of those like you never end up talking to each other, you never end up dating, but you're always like, oh, I really like this girl. One time at a party, it was like a house party, right? I gave her a hug. And she was in front of the bathroom, and somebody before just like had an exorcism. Like it was bad. It was so bad, but it wasn't her. But the fact is, I walked to her and gave her a hug, and while I hugged her, I smelled the most repugnant smell. That then like my brain associated that with her. So then anytime I was there, it's like, oh yeah, she's a good friend or whatever. And it's just like,
she's my friend now.
Yeah,
you got friend zone.
So if you guys, anybody out there that actually has some weird thing where it's like, oh, you got to get over a girl,
if you have a
or
weird
something, meet the girl. Yeah, meet the girl
at
a junk's place. Actually, I don't know how you do that. How you recreate
Just put some fart spray right on your upper lip.
Man. Yeah, like get one of those stink bombs and just like, I don't know what that smell is either. And then boom, works. Association. Oh man.
This relationship is over.
Yeah. Was that the last time you peed your pants?
That is the last time I peed my pants. All so I'll just clear that up on the podcast.
Hey, at least it's memorable.
Pro tip.
Yeah, the last time for
Don't
me.
pee your pants.
Yeah. So like think about that cool kid that was right behind you waiting for that machine. All of a sudden you put a quarter in and you run away. How long until that kid was like, okay, I'll just take this over.
I'm just going to take this over. Yeah. Man.
Oh, man. So it was 4-player and there was a couple guys playing, but you couldn't play with them.
No, I didn't want to play with them. I always liked playing by myself on the arcade. So
Gotcha.
Yeah, I had to wait. I was waiting.
That game was really hard by yourself, man.
Yeah, no kidding.
Help to have help.
Yeah. If anything, I would have hopped on right when they're about to die, so then you could like go farther.
Continue.
Or something like
Yeah.
That. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Shame. I just wanted to play by myself. Didn't have any friends because I pissed my pants. Oops. I laughed so much my headphone thing came out. Oh man.
Well, we'll move on to what we've been collecting here lately, and I guess I can go first on this one. So I finally got my Omega, and for anybody that's listened to previous episodes, the Omega is a consoleized it's a Neo Geo arcade cabinet that's put into a shell that you can play at your house, basically. And so I finally got it.
Nice.
And it is awesome.
It is very awesome.
It's probably my single favorite thing that I have now.
Yeah.
I think on the whole. So I've been playing it a bunch and just love it to death. Best thing ever.
Yeah.
And so I finally got that thing. I've picked up a few games for it, and Shane and I have played a few of those. Blazing Star, kind of a bullet hell shmup.
Yeah,
I played that one too.
Yeah, that's cool.
And really cool game. I've got Garu, Mark of the Wolves,
very good,
which is also super awesome. Yeah. And
well, you got the 151 multi-cart.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you got a lot of games.
yeah. So and obviously I haven't touched most of what I own, but just really, really cool. So every day I basically just come home from work and like before bedtime or whatever, I plunk in an arcade game, and a lot of them you can beat them in 45 minutes or whatever.
Yeah,
so
that's the perfect thing.
So and you have all the quarters you want. So it's really nice.
So you don't have to pee your pants.
Yeah,
you
so
got all the quarters.
And eventually I'm going to have to start working on all of the fighting games so I can get a little bit of street cred. But right now I've been playing Burning Star and Arrow Wings probably more than anything else.
Yeah.
But Shane and I played pretty far into Sengoku the other night. Sengoku 3, I guess I should say, which is kind of a side-scrolling beat-em-up Streets of Rage kind of game that, of course, looks better and plays a little bit better. I think they're probably
that
Streets
was an awesome game.
Yeah, although Streets of Rage 2 still has the edge on the music. I think, for
the
that
music
one.
on Streets of Rage is awesome.
But yeah, really, really like that thing. And then I was able to pick up a couple of NES games. And one of which was the Last Starfighter for the NES, cool. which I don't know if anybody remembers that movie.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was a movie, right?
Yeah,
I never seen it before.
Yeah, so I got the Last Starfighter, the video game, based on the movie. So I haven't played it yet. I'm sure because it's a licensed game based on a movie in the late 80s, it's probably really good.
Yeah, it's probably awesome.
And I ran across a boxed Mario Brothers 2. I already had Mario Brothers 2, but I didn't have the box and everything for it. And so I have all the Marios in box, which is kind of nice to have.
Cool.
And that looks pretty neat. And then somebody at Walmart the other day, and Walmart never has good clearance sales. Like they'll put something on clearance, they'll be like, "Oh, this was $90, now it's $89." And you know, which I guess people buy it, otherwise they would discount them more. But they actually had like games really deeply discounted on clearance in this big bin, and so I got Wolfenstein: The New Order for PS4,
great
for
game.
like $10.
That would be one I would put on the Video Game Book Club whenever we get up to that. That's one of my favorite games of the last 10 years.
And I've heard great things about it. I bought Dishonored, the definitive edition for PS4 for $12.
Yeah.
I got a Shin Megami Tensei 4 for the 3DS.
Okay.
Which is like a $60 3DS game. It goes for $50 or $60 for $20.
Nice.
At Walmart. And then they also had their PS3s clearanced out. And so I bought a box brand new PS3 with all the wrapper and everything else on it for $100.
Whoa!
So
that's nice.
Which model of the PS3?
It's the super slim.
Okay.
And it's the one with the tiny hard drive, like 12 gig or something.
Okay, yeah.
So, but it's going to be my emergency future PS3.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And it's just going to stay in that box. I've got 2 PS3s that I actually play. I've got one upstairs, one downstairs in my house, and this one's just going to go in a closet for when the others break. 20 years from now, I'm going to have one that's never been used.
Cool.
Nice.
So
nice.
Cool. What about or do you have any more that you?
No, that's pretty much it for me.
Shane, what about you?
Actually got really lucky. I did the GameStop Retro, which a lot of people hate on, and justly why? Because I mean, there's some carts that aren't what they're supposed to be. But
you mean like you bought from GameStop?
Yeah, the online store.
Okay.
And I was able to pick up Dynamite Cop and Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And Marvel vs. Capcom 2 came in the case, so that was really awesome. And they had them for a decent deal, and I had a gift certificate from I got from Christmas for my father-in-law, so that was really awesome.
Cool.
So I got those.
And those are both really good games, too.
Yeah, really good. Dynamite Cop is one I've been looking for forever. When we went to Portland Retro Game, like we tried to find it. I couldn't find it.
No, it wasn't there.
It wasn't there.
I've been looking here and there for you too, because it's such a random game. It's so good.
And I played it and almost beat it that night too, just because I love this game so much. It's one of my favorite beat 'em ups. But I got really lucky on Craigslist about 2 nights ago. I picked up about 65 games. I won't rattle them all off, but just decent titles. A lot of PS2 decent titles and some N64 stuff. A lot of stuff I have, but the way I do my collecting is I buy stuff, big bundles a lot of times, and take stuff and sell them.
Sure,
and
a lot of people
to recoup,
do it that way.
And recoup my money and buy more video games. I just don't buy it to make money. I reinvest into video games that I really want.
Yeah, you take your it's kind of like that whatever that show they had where it's like, hey, you take a doll, you trade up.
Yeah,
or whatever.
trade up. Yeah, that's sort of what I do. Yeah, or I trade with you guys, or you guys.
Yep.
I always give everybody a great deal. So I mean, but I got really lucky. I haven't found anything in so long, and I was just really happy to come across something. So got tons of games. I sent you guys pictures of.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much about it. That I've been.
What about that Super Famicom, dude?
Ooh, it's yours if you want it.
No,
I never even gonna play it, so it's yours.
But it's just it looks so sweet.
It does look cool, but I got so many games I haven't played yet that I just can't go down that route to play the Japanese games. It's like there's so many American games that I never even played, so why do that?
Yeah, yeah.
But what have you been collecting?
I put what's that top one? It was a Wild Gunman.
Is that Wild Guns.
Is that
Wild Guns?
Wild Guns.
Yep.
Okay. So Wild Guns for the PS4. I got that because it was an old Super Nintendo game that's like super expensive. How much does it go for?
Oh, I don't even know.
I think it's like 150.
My Super Nintendo knowledge is very
more.
outdated, so I know it's expensive, but I'm not sure.
Current price. But anyway, it was like cheap on Amazon Prime, so I picked that up. For the Super Nintendo, I got Super Mario World plus the Super All Stars combo cart.
Yeah, that's hard to find.
Yeah, we didn't
Very
even
hard
think.
to find.
existed. I didn't even know existed until recently. I knew Super Mario All-Stars, I knew Super Mario World did, but I didn't know they had a cart that had both of them together, so I picked that up.
Yep.
Also picked up a couple imports for the PS3 because I like doing that with the import region-free. Okami, which is a really cool game that was originally PS2 and then Wii, and they remastered it for the PS3.
Yep.
I was able to get the import version of that. Let's see, what is the current price? Oh, wow. So we're getting about $190 for Wild Guns.
That's what I thought, about
on the old app.
150, $200 on it.
And then a complete version. Holy cow.
Like 500?
Yeah, like $500.
Yeah.
Man, people love their cardboard.
Yep.
Thank God I don't. I could care less about cardboard. But yeah, and a couple random, cheap PS3 imports. One called Crash Time, which is a car racing game. That's
Well, that's special edition, right? The Okami?
the Okami, it's a special edition, comes with the soundtrack.
That thing looks super awesome, man.
Yeah,
I can't wait till you crack that
I didn't
open.
even realize that's an awesome game.
Yeah.
Have you ever played it before?
Yes, I played it. I never beat it though.
Yeah.
And this is the remastered version. Only came out for that region, and it has English translation.
Yeah.
Oh,
Pro tip.
Okay,
Am I allowed to do pro tips?
you are.
Anybody can do pro tips.
All right. The Wii version of Okami is actually really good.
It is good. It's very
and
good.
I have it. I'm not sure how much it goes for now. Probably $20 or $30.
20
but-
bucks.
I used to have
15,
it.
Totally
But,
worth it.
yeah, it's a super good game, and it actually plays really well with the Wii remote.
Yeah.
What's also funny about that is if you have the Wii version, anybody has it, if you look at the corner of the cover art, it has the IGN logo really faded out on it.
Yeah.
Because I just love how people borrow stuff from everything else. That's another random thing, even though we're not talking about news, like they're finding that like when someone broke open the new NES Classic that none of us have because Nintendo's Nintendo and didn't make enough of these things, and now we're all bitter. They think that the Super Mario Brothers they had on there was actually a ROM that they ripped from like the internet, like the one they put on that system had like evidently, I don't know the details of it, but all ROMs have kind of a signature to them when you break them down, and they took the one that was Super Mario Brothers for the NES Classic, and it looks like a specific ROM that was dumped, by a hacker or something else, not official Nintendo. So they like picked it up to put it in there. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, that's
I
weird.
don't know how confirmed it is, but it kind of sounds like that's what happened to that one. But we'll see. But anyway, so that's kind of all I've bought or played recently.
Yeah.
Something else that has happened since our last podcast is I completed birthing class.
Whoa.
How did I do it?
How did you do
Did
it?
you get an A, B, C?
Well, what I did was I watched this movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger called Junior.
Junior?
And he was able to have that done too. Did you ever see Junior?
I have, but I've forgotten everything about
Have
it.
we mentioned it? Maybe we mentioned it on the
No,
podcast.
we mentioned Twins.
Twins.
Which was a good movie.
Hey, another one where Danny DeVito and Danny DeVito's in
Twins.
Junior.
Yeah.
Junior though. too.
Junior is Twins too.
Yeah, it's basically.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, because he's the
basically.
doctor that artificially puts
Yeah.
it in his
Oh,
belly.
really?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Man, Junior. Anyway, everybody should watch that. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger giving birth.
Yeah, who doesn't want to see that?
Yeah, which I didn't figure out until
Get out of me!
he goes to a birthing class. Do you remember, at one part, he goes to a birthing class too, and they tried to say like he was like forced full of hormones, and that's why this woman looks so manly. He looks in drag. That is the scariest thing I've ever seen. Is Arnold Schwarzenegger in drag?
Yeah, it's not like Arnold Schwarzenegger's never been forceful of hormones.
Yeah, that guy. But anyway, so we did the birthing class, and I thought it was pretty good. It was only us and one other couple. The lady would, really sweet. She totally liked to talk.
Yeah.
I will say that. Like those kind of people who do those specialized things, they love.
They love
they love what they do.
Yeah.
And we saw the videos, the fun little graphic videos. I will say the women seem to twinge a little more than the guys.
Really?
Well, that's because it's happening to their bits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
You're
know,
like, oh,
but
crap,
still,
this is
a lot
coming.
of times guys don't want to see or talk about that or all the the stuff, all the you're saying all the anatomy, the breast,
Yeah.
the vagina, the lightning,
Yeah.
But learning about lightning, right?
Yeah,
you learn about the contractions and how to swaddle. I know how to swaddle now. You guys aren't impressed.
I never did the class.
Did they talk?
Wait, you never did the birthing class?
No.
Did they reference the football a lot in yours?
Football hold? That's mainly for like breastfeeding, right?
Yeah. Well, there's football hold. There's like a Heisman kind of thing.
Oh,
and then there's like a anyway, the lady that taught us about swaddling, maybe she just looked at me and said, I better use football analogies
to
make this moron understand.
It's so weird that we have all had 3 different experiences, because I never did a class or never heard of it.
Literally, when they talked to us, everything was a football reference. And I was like, yeah, I can get this. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. It was kind of enlightening. Like, of course, there's this weird Brazilian video where you have to like squat. They showed all the different positions that you can birth. And of course, like Laura, she wants to have an epidural. So a lot of it didn't apply, but the other person that was with us was like, oh, I want to go natural. But it was funny. They showed the statistics of like 90% in this country end up having the epidural anyway. Yeah. So you could tough it out and try just to pain kids, but eventually they
do that.
Just get the epidural.
Just get the epidural.
Yeah. Just get the epidural.
But anyway, so, and you can get it pretty early on too. And then there's the Pitocin, which kind of accelerates it, which you don't really want to use unless you're actually in active labor. But all the kind of like, they give you, what's nice about it is they give you the reasons why there might be like a C-section or something like that. And all the,
so you actually know what's going on. It's like
and to be prepared. And the video they showed 3 different videos. Someone that did it like with drugs, someone that didn't, one that like actually was going normal but then needed to have the C-section. So that was the worst, because then they didn't plan for the C-section. They went through regular labor and got like 90% through, where it's kind of like the kid was prairie dogging. Anybody know that?
Turtle head up open.
Yeah, it was kind of coming. Boy, women are just like, it's not. There's no lighthearted to talk about this, but it was it was pretty graphic. But of course, my background, I'm used to all that, and I've seen some of that, and I've been in some classes similar to that before. But the other couple that we were with, they seemed pretty cool about it too. The guy was a little more like hesitant to like the counting. Like you feel on pressure, like they have us practicing doing the breathing coaching for our wives. Yeah. And there's different types of coaching and different breathings and cadences and things like that. And it was just funny because then the lady was critiquing us and things like that. But it was fun. It was only 2 sessions, but they were like 3 hours a piece or something. Yeah. So it ended up being pretty long.
It's good. They didn't break it up so much.
Yeah, and they had a fun little trivia at the end, which it was guys versus girls, or dapper dashing dads versus. Anyway, the lady was kind of a trip, but it was fun. The women won that, but also we weren't as. I don't know. Me and the other dude were
surprised the women won the game about birthing.
Well, I honestly, if we wanted to have, we might have actually won, because there's a couple questions where it's like just who's first to answer. But what do you win? You win this stuff that's specific baby stuff you pick out. So I was like, I want my wife to pick that out, because there's like nipple cream and not a bidet. It's like a little shower for your bottom, and then they had like other random stuff, and all this kind of stuff. It's like, I'm not gonna.
So I'll this
stuff. You like the guy would want to.
I'll tell you a little story about my past if you care to hear it. But so when I was in high school, or early in high school, I worked at a vet clinic for several years, and so I've actually given birth to a lot of calves.
Oh, really?
Have you ever heard of pulling a calf?
I saw it in City Slickers.
Yeah, there you go, sort of. But no, like whenever a cow like hangs up in labor, it almost looks like a modified car jack or something. But you have to reach into the cow, wrap this around their legs, and then
pull them out.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, you literally ratchet them out of their mother.
Really?
Yeah, it's awesome, and I've done that several times. Actually.
I'm a wuss, man. Like, you guys are talking about all this, and I'm getting like, oh,
no, it's awesome. You just kind of do this thing, and then boom, baby cow, and then high five.
Yeah, oh, man.
No, that sounds a little too intense.
Calf
for me.
and mama cow, they're all happy. Mm-hmm. Mama cow high fives you, and then that's a good day, man. That's a good day at work.
Well, cows, can they kick? I don't know. I'm
not when they're first born.
Okay. No, I meant the mom, because you're behind there.
Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose.
Oh, okay.
They don't though.
Oh man.
Yeah. No, couldn't do none of that. No.
Yeah, that's just.
I didn't watch any of my children being born or anything.
Oh wait, are you serious? Okay.
Yeah. No. Well, my wife had to have C-sections for all of our children, so and of course you could see.
Yeah, you don't
but,
want to see that.
Yeah, I don't want to see that.
But you weren't in the room.
I was in the room.
Oh.
I was holding their hand like behind the because they put a big
man,
cloth
you want to
up.
stay on that side of the drapes.
Yeah.
So you didn't look over the drape.
I didn't look
That's
over
what
the
you're
drape.
saying.
Yeah,
I thought,
and I didn't cut any of the umbilical. Are you going to cut the umbilical cord?
Yeah.
Are you?
Well, here's the thing. Okay, funny you bring that up. It feels like that's such a prolific kind of question, like kind of a manly like, sorry, anybody who's really strongly belief on that, good for them. I just kind of am middle of the road because I think the whole situation, the tradition is like, oh, you are separating the body, helping the kid become. I don't even know. Like it's a funny tradition because I feel like I'm not doing anything in this whole thing.
No.
And yes, I'm cutting the cord, but it feels kind of like those people who like when they open a building and they're cutting the ribbon.
Yeah.
Like, all those people didn't build this dang building, and some of them just gave
like,
money.
It's
and
like
so,
the worst project manager that didn't do anything, and then
Yes.
swoops in at the
Taking
end.
all
And he's
the
like,
credit.
He's like, oh, my team did this great thing, and I did
And you give a
nothing. But
speech
it's because I was in charge. It was all me.
And this
Yeah,
ribbon
I
is being
can-
held up by two people. This is a sham. This whole thing. Anyway, I mean, nothing. I think maybe emotions. I'll get caught up on it, but it's basically up to my wife. Like I kind of said, well, if my wife wants me to do it, sure.
Yeah.
But I'm, traditionalist. This kid's gonna. I'm gonna raise him as best as I can, like all of us with our kids. But I'm gonna also have him be an individual. I'm not gonna be holding this. But I'll probably do it. I mean, what for the photo op? Does people take photos?
I don't even know, man. I didn't do it.
So you didn't do it, did you? So tell me about that since you asked. So did they? You obviously
they
can
give you
do
an
it.
option. Yeah, they give you an option too if you want to or not. And I'm like, no, absolutely not.
And the
Just
reason
because
not
I'm
is-
just I get too queasy, like
Sure,
with a
you
lot
don't
of
wanna pass
blood.
out.
With a lot
Sure.
of blood and stuff. So
And when the kid comes out, they warn you. It kind of looks pretty. He's
yeah,
covered in stuff. And
Well,
he's
I didn't
purple.
realize when my firstborn Lexi was born that they could have a cone head.
Oh yeah.
And I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah, yeah.
oh
Oh,
boy, I was tripped out on that. I was just like, what? Oh no! I didn't say anything to my wife. I was just like, because she was happy and normal. I was like, oh, this is normal. This is not
and you
normal.
thought
This is not normal.
your kid was going to grow up looking like
like a cone
Dan
head.
Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd and cone head. I was like, oh my gosh! Like I was so worried, but then I sort of asked her.
Oh,
I said-
man, like,
when we
dude-
got back to the room, I was like, okay, what's going on with their head? And she's like, oh, that's normal coning, and I'm like, oh, cool, we're good.
Normal coning.
Yeah.
Is it? Don't like in the Coneheads movie when they mate. Isn't it called coning?
I think it is. Yeah,
they put the little wreath on.
Wreath on, yeah,
And then
yeah.
they're like, oh yeah, they're coning.
Yeah.
How did that movie get made?
It
was good, though.
It probably made a ton of money because it was based on a Saturday Night Live thing.
It was
Yeah.
good. It was fun.
That was fun. That's our last thing, I guess, man. We're
Yeah.
down to the home stretch.
You're at home stretch, man. You're about to be
got like a
legit.
month.
We'll get a badge or something for you. Now you're going to be legit video game dad.
I know, right? Yep.
Get
Not
you a
just
badge.
not just a pretender anymore.
Yeah.
I know. Hey, man, you know what? Some billboards I drive by say it's starting at conception or whatever. So, depending on where you are in the Bible Belt, I'm already a dad. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Get off my lawn. Yeah, man, we're excited. It's funny. I've kind of thought about that. Like, I don't know what kind of games I'm going to play in this last month while I'm a little bit free. I'm thinking about
Yeah.
just getting things in order and getting the house in order and
Get
you know what I
get
mean?
your house in order. Just
Yeah.
be ready.
and then be ready to not play anything for
Yep.
a while, and that's
Yep.
perfectly fine.
Yeah.
We'll still have our podcast here and there.
Heck, with one kid, man, you'll be fine. You'll still be able to play some
Oh,
games.
yeah.
You'll be good.
Says
You'll
the
be okay.
resident stay-at-home dad with 3 kids. Is it still 3 and under? How old's Lexi?
No, it's not 3 and under anymore. Lexi's 3.5. So yeah,
Okay. Well, that still counts, right? It's not until she's 4, or is she 4?
she's creeping
Right?
up on 4. So
Okay,
yeah.
getting close.
Getting close.
Yeah.
So
And Lexi at our video game night, Lexi and Grayson kind of are little buddies.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're buddies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a good fun little time. So when we went down to play the video games and stuff, so all the guys went downstairs and the wives stayed upstairs and drank the wine and
Yeah.
watched the kids, and I think they had a pretty good time. But
Yeah.
we'd have we always order pizza and eat and stuff too. So then the kids come down and start to play. But how I prepped for the night though was to sort of put the stuff I didn't want to get pulled out or torn up sort of up a little bit higher, and so they could play with sort of the
Yeah.
stuff too, because I have some amiibos that are loose and I'm like, go ahead and play with those, have fun. They actually played a little bit of like Lexi asked for Mario Brothers, and they actually sat down and tried to play for a little bit, but then they didn't want to, so that was sort of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of short attention span.
Yeah, the short attention span. There's so much crap to look around in there, so they were just like, whatever. Just run around downstairs. So that was cool.
Yeah, very cool, man. Yeah, kids are fun. They break stuff as we learn, and I'm going to learn too. I'll figure out what to do. I don't, kid space might be down here, because it'll be a while till he can stand up and pull stuff. And
you'll
I'll
be
move
good
all
down
the
here.
stuff. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So, the elephant in the room. We had a video game launch, and then we've also got some emails. I was thinking, what do we want to do first? Up to you, Adam. You decide. You want to talk about these emails?
We could talk about the launch.
Let's do that, and we'll talk about the emails. From
that sounds good.
From our listeners.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So the big new news that everybody's talking about is the Switch. They on January 12th. Well, it was kind of like January 12th and 13th, I suppose, but they had. I didn't even start till like 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it started late.
The show for the Switch, and it was in Japan. And it was streaming online, so I actually stayed up late. I guess you guys did too. At least parts of it, and streamed the thing, and it was a really awkward show. I thought that the Switch reveal, like from the little snippet that they made that they posted online back in whatever it was, November, was like perfect. Yeah, and then this thing was like really clunky. It didn't
this thing was a crap show.
I guess before we start, let's kind of go around. So Adam. Big fan of we're all kind of fans of Nintendo.
Yeah,
Adam's
we're all
the biggest fan of Nintendo,
Nintendo,
and you were one that you already kind of, hey, whatever this thing is, pre-orders in the bag.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get this thing.
There could be no game for it, and I would buy it.
So Adam's really big, and then Shane, what about you? How were you feeling before? Are you getting real pumped? You excited? Kind of in between?
I was sort of pumped. They could have sold me. I could have been a launch day guy and got it, but they didn't really sell me. I could still switch my mind. It just depends on if the online is.
But
there.
Initial reaction before you got the info, you were kind of somewhat excited.
I was excited.
Okay.
I was excited. I was probably 75% gonna get it, and I was excited. It's super excited.
Yeah, and me, I've kind of been not really realizing I kind of go every other. It was like 64. I skipped the GameCube. I ended up getting the Wii. I like the Wii. Wish it was like HD, and then I skipped the Wii U. But I played it a little bit.
Yeah,
and I was really wanting to buy this one. This is kind of what I kind of wanted a reason to get this one, and that was kind of what I went into it beforehand. Then we all watched the interesting.
Well, the thing is, the more I think about it or reminisce upon it, I don't think it was actually that bad of a show in much as what they showed. It just is how much or the way that they showed it, if that makes sense. Like it was just really discombobulated and. The interpreter wasn't very good. And the things that they decided to show off about it are the things that you wouldn't want to know about it. And then some of the things that you would want to know they didn't talk about. But really the saving grace of the whole thing was that they showed a bunch of Zelda Breath of the Wild at the end, and that game looks incredible.
So this is it's exciting. It's a new console. It's coming out in March. Some of the things they released the price, they released the date, they released kind of what the launch titles are.
$2.99 March 3rd.
And then what some of these games are and what they're trying to do, the internet service, things like that. I will say this. So the Switch, we all knew what it kind of looked like. We were curious to know what some of the launch games were. They announced that one was going to be Zelda. Another thing that they spent a lot of time on was this 1-2 switch. This game and the motion. They kind of started out. I was really surprised. They started out with the motion control.
They Wii'd it up, dude.
Yeah, they Wii'd it. I think they Wii'd it too much. Like it was.
No, I love the Wii.
You know, I don't have a huge problem with the controller, like especially these controllers. I think they look cool and they are different and they look cool. I mean,
well, the price. Okay, the price of this thing was $299.
$299.
$299, and you get the system, the controller.
Controllers.
No pack-in game for this thing.
That's a big killer.
The 1-2 switch is kind of this kind of party game. It plays on motion controls, but also you can play this entire game without looking at the screen. Which is very interesting. And a lot of people played it, said, this could work, this is really fun, but
it looks like a packing game. Let's be honest.
It looks like a packing game.
It looks like a packing game. They throw that in a pack-in, I probably would be on board to get it on launch, to tell you the truth, because I mean, it just looks like a packing game. They're going to charge people $60.
And so, the price, I think, was close to what people were thinking, between $250 and $300.
And that's a fine price. I'm fine with
the
$300.
Peripherals, though, I kind of want to go round table with this. Okay, so there's something called a Pro Controller, which is more traditional controller. That thing they wanted $70 for the Pro Controller,
way too
which
much.
is $10 more than any of the other controllers.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is each of the little Joy-Cons, which they call it, the little the main screen. So the Nintendo, it has the dock, it has the screen, it clicks on the side. Each one of the Joy-Cons were $50, or you can buy 2 of them for $80. That's a good chunk of change.
Yeah,
it's a good chunk
it's
of change.
expensive. Yeah, I actually was surprised kind of by how expensive the accessories are going to be.
The Joy-Cons, I could sort of see the pricing on that, just because if you realistically think about it, it is 2 controllers. Granted, they're super small. They're not going to be super comfortable.
Yeah, the Pro Controller being $70 is the one I'm a little bit more
That's
upset
the
about.
one I'm really...
Yeah, it's like, why on earth would that be $70?
$70, because it looks nothing more than like an Xbox 360 controller.
Yeah.
It does it even have... I'm not for sure on this. I'd have to ask you guys. Does it even have any kind of motion inside of that, like a
I'm
gyro?
sure it does.
Okay,
Yeah,
at least it has
does,
that, I guess. But
Yeah, I guess you're right. You'd think so. There's other interesting things. They've got a camera inside the little Joy-Cons to tell, like, if you're opening your mouth, it can see the depth of your mouth.
Yeah.
The weird things that they were
rock,
describing.
paper, scissors, just really weird stuff.
Yeah, it
that
can
went
read
into
rock, paper,
which is
scissors.
really cool.
The rumble, so they're touting HD rumble.
Yeah,
That's right.
Which they kind of use the example of, if you hold the controller up next to you, it'll feel like there's an ice cube in it, and how you're holding a glass, and you put 2 ice cubes in it and 3. So the way they described it was a little different, but very Japanese, I guess.
Yeah,
that's kind of the way
I think they could have done a better job on that.
Yeah. So some of the and
I think that one's going to end up being kind of like PlayStation VR, where until you hold it and experience it, you just don't get it.
Yeah, I think so too.
They were kind of saying, here's something interesting during the Playhouse thing. They're kind of saying, like, hey, you could turn this into a drinking game really easy.
Yeah.
The style of it, I don't think was off-putting. They don't tell you how many mini games are in this thing.
Yeah,
and
see?
are they? And I think they're selling it premium pricing.
60.
It's a $60
$60
game.
Yep.
They released something else, Arms, which is kind of like a boxing game. It's kind of like Wii Boxing.
It's got some depth there.
It looks like monkey boxing from Super Monkey Ball.
Yeah.
Okay.
If
You
you
were
ever
telling
played
me
that,
about
yeah,
that, yeah.
which it's definitely a beefed up version of that, but that game is awesome.
Yeah, they spent a long time putting that. I kind of think, we're 10 years removed from the Wii, what they showed and how they showed the boxing works, and how you have to, your normal boxing motion is you put your fist out and you kind of twist, and if you do that, the rotation of it's going to move. So it'll be hard to really judge this thing. I've tried to read a lot of people who have really looked at this and liked it, and how and some people it's kind of like wasn't too impressive. Some people really liked it.
Yeah.
The actual Joy-Cons come with little grips, because these things, this is another thing, these things are small, really small. They were talking to this guy who's kind of got some meat hooks to him, and this, I'm trying to think what he described it as. A Twinkie. He says it's about the size of a Twinkie, or a little smaller.
Yeah, unless you put the bumper on it.
Yeah, and the bumper is kind of necessary, they said, because otherwise it's super kind of awkward. And since the joysticks are a little off-center, one of the joysticks feels pretty traditional, or one of the Joy-Cons, and the other one, your thumb has to be kind of in the middle, a la, N64 controller. So, it's hard to really figure out this hardware until we get it in our hands, but they're obviously going for their Wii magic here, and they're hoping there's still some mileage left in this Wii motion.
Yeah.
That's so much, the motion, I guess. Not
the thing that was the most frustrating about watching the press conference, or just the show, by itself, is that everything that would get people excited, they didn't show. And all of the things that people would just be like, that looks kind of like it might be fun, is what they really decided to emphasize.
Yeah.
Because there's a souped up version of Mario Kart 8 coming out.
Yeah.
There's Splatoon 2 coming out. There's
2, yeah.
There's Zelda Breath of the Wild coming out. There are games legitimately that are coming out that are going to be really good games that a lot of people didn't play, because a lot of people didn't play the Wii U, and they didn't even really mention them.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And that's the thing that amazes me. It's like, God, you got basically a new Mario Kart coming out. Talk about it. You know, that's the one. That's what everybody wants to play. Is that?
I know everybody hates on the Wii U. Well, you didn't play it, so now you're going to play it, and you're going to play these great games that
Mario
were
Kart
on
8
it
is
the best way you can.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Here's the other side of it. So let's say you're not even hating on the Wii U. There's a lot of people out there that don't even know the Wii U exists. And one of them is even a friend of mine that's a kind of quasi gamer. And he kind of forgot, and he kind of thought it was kind of like an add-on for the Wii.
Yeah.
And even, going
well, but
back
they didn't
to,
name this one the Wii U. They didn't name it the same thing as the stupid thing that came before.
I know.
And that's the problem.
But well, and the other
it's like if any marketing person on Earth should know not to name the new thing the same thing as the old thing.
Sure. Well, Nintendo, Super Nintendo.
Well, yeah, but it's the first word.
And it also looked completely different.
Yeah, it looked completely
different. The Wii U, the system looked a whole lot like the Wii.
Yeah, it looks exactly like it. And
yeah, that doesn't help at all.
Yeah, and like literally...
And it still used the old controllers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I remember going to pick my Wii U
like
up at launch and listening to this mom and her kid talking, and he's like, I want the Wii U, and she says, you've already got one of those. Yep. Yeah, it's like, and the kid's like, no, I think it's new, and she's like, no, it's the exact same thing.
Yeah,
and
we
like,
could spend 40 minutes, 50 minutes, a whole podcast talking about some of those kind of quasi failures. But looking forward, we're just kind of putting this down as their stepping stone of what you are is your history and what you did before. We all know Nintendo paved the way for all this, and the home consoles, and even the other big guys, Sony, Microsoft. Everybody respects what they do. They've just they went with the tablet idea because tablets were big. The Wii U, the PlayStation Vita outsold the Wii U, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So the Wii U, they needed to really kind of get this hardcore thing figured out, this niche thing figured out. This is also replacing the Wii U. The Wii U's out.
Yeah.
It's replacing the 3DS. So this is the mobile... This is a mobile console.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
I think that's what they didn't actually... I don't know if you want to kill off the 3DS, but I almost think you should have... Instead of saying it, they didn't lay out any kind of specs on this machine.
They're not killing out the 3DS just yet. But
they're not making a new one, though.
Well, I know, but there's still games in development for it, so they're not completely killing it off.
Sure.
But the scary thing about the Switch is exactly what you're talking about, is that in Nintendo's past, it's always been, at least since N64 era, the consoles have always sort of struggled a little bit. They've still made money on them, and especially the Wii. They made more money off the Wii than any other platform of the time. But it's really been the handheld market that's kind of been their big moneymaker and their constant, through the years. And they're getting ready to throw that thing in the ditch and combine it with the console, which hasn't necessarily done as well, over that period of time. So is you always, whenever you're doing investing, it's always like everybody tells you diversify, don't put it all in one company, that kind of thing. And so their diversification, they're basically doing away with that, and they're saying we're pretty much betting the farm on this horse. So. But in a way, that kind of makes me a little bit hopeful, because they've had to sort of develop for two platforms, and now they can just
there's going to be a lot of games.
So there's going to be a lot of good first-party games, I think, by the end of it.
That's the thing people aren't saying is, like, if you really think about it, if this is going to replace the handheld, you're going to get all those great games that were on 3DS are going to be coming here now.
Well, they're all the teams that were dedicated
now they're not dedicated to doing the handhelds, yes. Yeah.
So, and of course the new Mario Odyssey game, it looks like it's going to be, I'm sure it'll end up being great, just like all
the Mario Odyssey, that was, and that was something that really brought, Zelda, I haven't traditionally been a big Zelda fan. This Zelda game looks really good. Not get too detailed, the whole breaking of weapons, I've never been a fan of. And wearing out of weapons, and as quickly as those have been, you at least need to make the weapons everywhere. We'll see how that goes with it, but that kind of thing is kind of pulled some people away. Mario Odyssey looks great. It looks like they keep saying they're going back to like a Mario Sunshine, Mario 64. The look of it and the direction of it seems like right where it needs to go.
Yes,
unfortunately, it's a holiday title, so it's not coming out for a while. There's a lot of question marks. The big one also is, Nintendo has not, this is straight up, they have not been good at creating an online service, an online experience. And now they're coming out with one. They're not really releasing many details. They're saying it's going to be free for the next 6 months, basically. But they're going to start charging, and they haven't announced what they're going to charge, but they have said that they're going to give 2 kind of retro games, kind of like the other companies do. But these retro games can only be used for that month, and then they go away. So you can't bank these things.
Well, I don't know that it's that clear cut. From what I've read, Some of the reports are, you get it for a month, and then you get 2 new games or whatever the next month.
Thought it was pretty definitive.
But, what I've heard, at least what I've read, is that there seems to be nobody from Nintendo will really either confirm nor deny, but it might be sort of like a rental situation, or kind of like Netflix used to be. You get your DVDs, and then you get to keep them for as long as you want, and send back the one when you're done with it, and then you get the new one.
Oh, you can't download a new one until
because if
you got to
you
delete those, and then
if they give you Chrono Trigger, for instance, they can't rightfully say, "Hey, beat Chrono Trigger in a month," because not everybody's going to be able to like sit down and dedicate
that's what
that
they're
kind of time
saying.
to it.
Like,
well, I know that's what the people covering the Switch are saying, but Nintendo hasn't said one way or the other. So we'll have to just wait and see. But it might be one of these you can have 2 games out at a time kind of thing from a catalog.
I could handle that. If that's the way.
And it depends on the price too, and it depends on this infrastructure.
That's another thing, price,
and how good it's going to be, and if they're going to have gamer tags and something like an equivalent of a trophy or an
achievement. They're finally getting rid of what was it, Friends ID or something. Oh my.
Well, and I love trophies. I love them so much, and they haven't even
you
talked
two guys
about,
love some trophies.
They haven't even talked about trophies.
Yeah, I'm a trophy.
Just give me some trophies, Tendo.
Yeah. So ultimately, Adam, you're the only one you pre-ordered 2 of them, one for yourself, one for a buddy.
Yep.
Right. So you pre-ordered them. Shane.
No pre-order, but I'm still on the fence. Just depends on if something comes up that they knew.
I think eventually, looking at how good Mario looked, I think I'm going to get one of these.
I'm going to get one eventually, no doubt.
Okay, that's a bundle or something. They didn't sell me on it for sure.
Yeah.
They
didn't kill it for me. They didn't sell it.
Yeah, but those peripherals being expensive and knowing how Nintendo works with pricing, they're not going to have a lot of sales with those things.
Yeah.
I still would love to see third party. Do a lot of good. It's
got FIFA.
What? FIFA? FIFA. Yeah. They announced FIFA.
I'd play some FIFA. I mean, if they do a good FIFA, and that would cause me to lose my Xbox because that's my favorite way to play it. I mean,
the other nice thing about this thing, this looks video game dads. This looks pretty appropriate for kids, and it looks like something you could play with your kids.
Oh, my kid will love this thing.
Yeah.
He loves anything
now,
with a touchscreen.
That being said, anything with a touchscreen, this thing's going to need to be padded. That thing is not going to survive a good drop.
Yeah,
the tablet part of it, right? It needs to have like bumpers and all this kind
bumpers.
of other
stuff. It may have like a gel cover or something. They haven't released that yet, though. If they had,
I just mean that size of a screen dropping, it has to be a certain heavy. They said also the battery life of it.
Battery life. Yeah.
About 3 hours.
About 3 hours.
Yeah. So Zelda, they said 2.5, 3 hours. If you're not playing a game directly, you get 5, maybe 6.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, you can't expect much out of that. The specs also, they were kind of it's an HD. It's not in 4K. I don't think people are expecting that.
Yeah.
I mean, people might expect it, but realistically, if they've been following it, I don't think that they were going to announce that.
Yeah.
It's it is what I'm definitely going to enjoy. Checking yours out, Adam, when you.
But I still think that there's some big announcements to come, because if you think about how frequently Nintendo releases first-party games and the number of first-party games they talked about at the conference and everything else, there's got to be a couple of big things cooking.
Well, hopefully. Well, that's what you think. You're being hopeful because there's a lot not.
Well, but
there
I'm just saying
year.
they've slowed down on the 3DS. They've really only got Zelda and Mario Odyssey.
But,
as their 2 big games. They got these other kind of side games. There's got to be a Metroid or something.
Here's my thing though:
there.
Are they maybe holding off on first party to begin with, so then third party could get their games out there and get them selling? So then,
but that doesn't have anything to do with them. I hear what you're saying, but
so they just don't trump the third party support though.
That's
Nintendo's
you know what I'm
never,
saying?
yeah, but they've never done it that way.
Yeah, why would you do that?
You want your launch lineup to be strong, no doubt, but then you don't want to just kill your third party because your third party would not get anything because they're all just going to want the first party.
Yeah, but they don't have enough games to come out. Like, let's say that would, I think, be a case if they had like 50 games coming out a year and they were somehow, even though the way games are, they were able to blitz with a lot of games, but they've never been one to send out a ton of first party anyway.
Yeah.
I just think like as soon as they come out, they're going to want to put them out. They could care less about third party. Why would they all of a sudden care now?
because they've seen the Wii U just have no third party, and they're sort of scared right now.
But then they wouldn't have made a console with this kind of wackiness that's non-traditional, right? I mean, it's still got its Nintendo kind of gimmicks, right?
That's true. That's true.
Nintendo going to do what Nintendo's
They
going
want
to
to
do.
Yeah, I
do.
think
That's
they,
true,
they're
but-
going to make things for them first, for other people second.
Second.
Now, they know that the Wii U especially, the developers were like, hey, no way. And then when it didn't sell well, the third party jumped off the boat because they're like, why are we going to have a hard time porting this game and making it for Wii U and then utilizing this extra controller that works as a second screen when there's only like 6 million of them out there within the first few months or whatever, that were sold initially.
Yeah.
So then you'd think if they cared about their third party, they would make something a little easier to develop for, and then something where they know they're going to have a huge launch.
Yeah, I guess I'm just looking at they're trying to help out third party a little bit more, which is probably not the case. I guess I'm being, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think they initially
Being non-Nintendo.
Well,
like,
they
they're
put
not
out
that way,
they put out that the third party is important to them, and they put out all that list of all those third party games they did. But as far as them like changing their releases to get stuff, I think unfortunately with Nintendo's past.
Yeah, I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know. It just seemed different to me. I don't know why they would. I don't know
why they would wait on. I just think it's not ready. I just think Mario is a huge developed game, and
I just don't see how it's not ready though. That just blows my mind.
Well,
What
not
have
even
you
playable.
been working on? What
But
have
it's-
you not been
then
What
they-
have you been working on this whole time?
then it would have been playable at least a level. They would have at least given, but there's nothing playable. All they've shown is some video.
Well, they're holding it for E3. I mean, they're holding it for the big show. I mean, that's going to be their E3 game.
But they don't even do E3 anymore. They do their own thing.
Yeah, but they still announce all their stuff at the same time.
True. They do their own production and
They
stuff.
have actually announced that they're going to physically be at E3 with Mario Odyssey. So that's going to be their thing to shine at that time. But Zelda Breath of the Wild by itself is enough to hold that system for the launch. I mean, that is maybe the best launch game I've ever seen. I mean, since Mario 64, maybe.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
it was
yeah.
for the Wii U initially, and the Switch. I think the Breath of the Wild
doesn't matter.
No, I know it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. I'm just saying, like, it's so great and it's done. It's like this. This also shows why maybe Mario wasn't ready, because I don't think Mario was ever going to be a Wii U game. I think they put out this hardware, and potentially, I think you said this too, Shane. This system maybe could have waited another 6 or 9 months to come out.
Yeah.
But they kind of felt a rush to like, let's put this thing out because there's nothing really left for the Wii U, which helps Adam because now the collection's a little easier for him to collect.
Yeah, that's helps
Because
you out.
no more games are really coming out after Breath of the Wild for anything, right?
It's dead. after that.
they're
Yeah,
done.
completely
done,
done.
officially done.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think look at this. We all want the same thing. We want a good amount of games out of this thing, and we're trying to find a reason why. Hey, they were only announcing like 10
honestly,
games.
though, if they
this
do
year.
the Virtual Console correctly and it has all the Neo Geo library and a bunch of the TurboGrafx stuff and Nintendo's back catalog and they do the Virtual Console on it right, like that also will be enough.
And you're actually able to play a game and talk to your friend while you play a game. I mean,
I
just
have heard
simple
this,
things.
guys, about the Virtual Console. People are kind of fed up with it, meaning they've bought the same game so many times.
and
they don't want to buy it anymore.
Yeah, and they still haven't released, exactly how they're going to make that work.
Yeah, what did Reggie say? Stay tuned. Yeah,
Which might mean, $1, $2 per to do it over, or maybe it also means from now on it moves.
I would be
it
fine with
drives
that.
over.
Like if you move on and just do that.
I'm
and
just
it
saying,
stays
some
with your
people
gamer
have bought
tag or
this
something.
thing, have bought this game on different mobile devices, and 5 times they're kind of done with the Virtual Console. I've just heard this from other people.
Yeah,
around me.
no, it's a real.
So-
I mean, that is.
No, it really is an issue because it's great, like on, PlayStation or whatever.
I mean, you got a bunch of Wii downloads. I mean, that you downloaded games on the
Yeah,
Wii.
but here's the thing that sucks about it though is like I've got several Wii consoles and the Virtual Console games you download to a Wii are specific to that Wii. So I actually had a Wii that had a bunch of Virtual Console games on it that died like 6 months ago, and all those are just
dead.
Yeah,
gone.
they're all just gone.
It's crazy.
So
They got to fix that.
Yeah, so
they got to find a way.
So it kind of sucks. That hurts a little bit, you know. And on PlayStation, like, there's a maximum number of PlayStations you can have hooked up to PSN, but I can be like,
Undo one. Yes.
Yeah, I can
Undesignate one.
undesignate one, put another one on. Yeah, my old one doesn't work anymore for those games, but I still have access to them and can play them all.
I guess I'm just looking at different angles on it. I don't know if I'm seeing it right or not, but I'm also looking at a lot of people are negative towards this machine, and I think people are looking at it, it's a way underpowered console, but then people aren't looking at it. It's a really powerful handheld console, though. I mean, this thing's
but
and I think they should have laid that out in the presentation too. Like
maybe I've gotten older, or I don't care as much anymore, or whatever, or maybe it's doing all the retro gaming stuff.
Power isn't everything.
Power doesn't I would just assume play a good PS3 game as a PS4 game.
Yeah.
At this point, we're splitting hairs. Yeah. All the games play really well. They all look really well.
It's all about the games.
Like the incremental improvements at this point are to me insignificant.
Yeah.
I mean, they could put out a PlayStation 4 tomorrow that's 4 times as powerful as the one today. I don't really care. I'm perfectly happy with the PS4 the way that it is and the way that.
That being said, this Scorpio thing coming out by Microsoft is interesting because that's so.
Well, but it's
behind
all,
yeah.
But it all seems like such bro dude kind of stuff. Like,
I got more power.
Yeah,
it seems like the old days.
My console processes more ones and zeros than yours does, and that doesn't necessarily bear out in better games. I mean, there's several examples of the crappier systems winning over the years. I mean, PS2 was the weakest of its generation, and it's arguably the most successful console of all time.
Just as far as looking at raw sales, it's true. I think that the Nintendo Switch, it's exciting that a new console came out. I will say, out of the three, when I was watching this presentation initially compared to now, I really was like, gosh, what are they doing? Are you serious? Show more games, show more this. But you know what has happened the last couple weeks? I really mellowed out to the thing that, I'm excited to see what comes of it.
Yeah.
I like that they're doing something different as everything else. It's just it's a little, they're kind of rolling the dice again, and they're hedging some bets back on motion controls because so much of that system, we could talk about all that it is and isn't in the dock, but a lot of that system and a lot of the expense of that system is for sliding those things out, handing them to your friend, playing it here, getting more controllers to play a 4-player game on this kind of thing. There's a lot of specific console hardware things about this thing that aren't fully realized, aren't fully shown, that we have to buy into. And, that's just like anything else. It could be just like the PSVR. It's like what we get out of this thing in the next couple of years is going to have to be good enough for you to feel like it's justified for it. And for me, it is. So, I think our video game dad grade of this thing is to be determined by far. Definitely. And we're going to find out just like anything else. I don't even want, we're not going to grade the presentation or say this or that.
Well, the presentation was terrible.
Oh, I'll just say that that was terrible.
I don't think that makes the console bad.
No.
I still think the console's actually going to do really well. And I'm actually surprised by how positive the press review coverage has been on it, given how bad the press conference was.
Yeah.
But I just still think it's funny, though. People are like, that don't like it. They're like, I think it looks horrible, da-da-da. And they're like, well, I still got my pre-order in, though. I'm like, oh, yeah, really?
Yeah, no, Come on, man. I actually think it's going to sell really well. I still am optimistic about it.
Well, I mean, sell really well. There's not going to be, like all Nintendo, there's not going to be enough units. They're going to sell out of their initial, anything. No matter what this was, just
That's
like
what Nintendo do.
They sell out of their initial. It depends on how many they're going to make, really, and then how many they're going to release and how many they're going to sell.
Yeah.
I mean, again, the GameCube outsold also the Wii U. So they need to create a lot of units for Christmas, and I think a nice Christmas bundle, that would be great.
Yeah,
great time to pick it up.
Sell a bunch.
Yeah, so that's it. Let's move on to emails real quick.
Yeah, so we got a couple of emails to talk about. The first one is from Justin, and I'm going to adjust my computer screen here.
Yeah.
And
we really appreciate this, guys. Anybody,
thank you.
The fact that you're taking a couple seconds out of your day to send us this stuff, especially we were asking for it. Anything, feedback, ideas for game, the ideas for games, maybe just chatting things up. saying what you like about the show, not like about the show, your own little stories. We really appreciate it because you guys got
we
lives.
all three read the emails and stuff too.
Yeah. So anyway, awesome. we really appreciate that.
Yeah. So listeners. It says, "Hey fellas, recently discovered your podcast and binged all 5 episodes. Here's another one to binge.
Oh boy.
First off,
I feel bad for you binging us like that.
Yeah, I know. Right?
Did you purge some too? You don't want all that in you. Okay, go.
First off, let me say that I too am a father and a huge fan of video games.
Cool.
I am in all of the collection that you 3 have going on. Actually, we're kind of small timey compared to some. I'm not much of a collector myself, but I have a collection of Predator stuff, which is the greatest movie ever, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, says Predator is a very good movie. Yeah,
yeah. He and his 10-year-old son make masks that they purchase or make on their own, and they take them into conventions and show them, and have won some awards and that sort of thing, which is kind of neat. And it says his son's into new genre of indie games, these jump scare games, quote unquote, and he asked if we've gotten into any newer style of games, or do we just stay with the girl that brought us to the dance, which I'm assuming he's talking about just retro stuff.
Yeah.
And then he also says if you haven't played Broforce on PSN, he highly recommends it. And actually, I have played Broforce. I played with you online.
No, I missed out because I didn't have any money that month, so I couldn't get PSN for it for free, and then I still need to buy it. But I'm waiting for a physical copy.
I've played with that with my brothers online, and it is like the funnest thing.
It looks so fun.
Yep. So Broforce is kind of like a retro art, kind of newer game.
It's hard to explain.
Well, it has
multiplayer.
You switch between all these main characters, and they're awesome because they're all based on like 90s and 80s. There's like
action heroes.
There's Brobocop.
Their names are all
which looks like Robocop and kind of plays like him. And then there's the Brominator.
Oh, like Retro City Rampage, where it plays with the whole tongue in cheek.
Sort of,
wink at the camera.
Where you have a whole lot of people. There's just crap that blows up, and it's a platformer. But then there's all these things that you can't touch and can't do, and invariably somebody in your party will shoot something that they shouldn't shoot, and then just like the whole screen, just everything gets destroyed and everybody dies, and it's really funny.
Yeah.
And then you're all. And then, if you're playing 4 people online or whatever, it's like 3 guys just yelling at the one guy like, what are you doing? We were at the end. Why did you do that?
Dang, that sounds fun.
So it's a really, really fun game. And I don't know. I mean, I split probably 50-50 or 60-40 new to old.
New to old games.
Yeah,
I think we're all about that. We had another email which you get to about someone asking, "Oh, do you play any other type of game like board games and stuff?" We pretty much stick to video games. I did look up randomly, and there's like a board game podcast. But I think we all kind of split up between the retro and the new stuff, especially because price wise, we were trying to. The nostalgia's there with the retro, and we try to at least not be too get off my lawn old timers. We keep up with the new stuff.
Yeah.
I think we're right about
50-50.
We never really talk about the Xbox One. We kind of probably realize that, but Shane, you own one.
I own Xbox One. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, we just talk about what we play, and really, you never even talk about playing that thing. Right?
Yeah, it's hard. I don't buy a lot of new games. I always, like I said, I'm very thrifty on what I do. So
and as soon as those things come,
if they get down to like $10, $5, I'm on it.
And they're gonna
I'll play a lot of games I want to because that's the way I got to do it.
And you'll find them at the garage sales and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Any other emails?
Yeah. So the second one was one you alluded to from Ian. He says, "Hey guys, found out about you about a week ago and been binge listening." Well, thank you.
Yeah,
cool. Thanks. We appreciate it. Our wives can't listen to us this long. No, just kidding. Actually, our wives listen to that, so we love you and thank you for listening. To that.
He says he has
ladies.
a 4-year-old, so he can relate to a lot of what we talk about. Says,
4.
Says we're funny. Apparently, he's not listening that closely. I had just a couple of questions about custom game cases and where the printouts are coming from. And then he also asked about tabletop games, and I'm completely ignorant on the entire subject of tabletop games.
Yeah, we kind of we emailed him back.
But not I know people who are in them, and I know also you can spend a lot of money on them, and this is already expensive enough. I don't think I could take another expensive hobby. Yeah,
yeah, and I think I ended up emailing him back, kind of. What I did, those are my stories about all the printouts and going to Kinko's and getting mad at the guy. Yeah, that was from the previous episode. I've just really enjoyed putting this together. I'm making universal game cases for the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis, 64. You can go to, I think it's like mediashelving.com. They have universal game cases. You buy in packs of 100, free shipping, around $60.
Is it the Cover Project where you can get the
and
artwork?
And the coverproject.net is where you can get all the artwork. Mm-hmm. People scan them in. Really anything retro, even up to new stuff. They have the front, the back, the sides, and they have them kind of pre-cut for making your own game cases. And that's kind of what I've done and completed. And I'll share some of that here on our pictures on our social media. So follow us on our Twitter and our Facebook if you haven't already. You can kind of see what I'm doing. It's a little bit of investment. You can buy these things if you like. Let's say eBay to know what I'm talking about. Custom game case. Put in what is that? Sunset Riders.
Yeah.
Put that in. You can see someone will make a kind of clamshell. It's better. They kind of hold up better than the
they hold
cardboard.
up in the cardboard. So
and you can buy these by yourself all piecemeal and spend $5 or $6, or if you do it yourself, you're spending about $1, a little over $1. But of course, you got a big collection that'll add up. But it's neat because as we get older, we want to preserve these things. Yep. It's kind of like a little library. So it was a huge project. I
don't know how you did it.
I
truck through it.
Yeah, it was tough, but also kind of fun, you know. But sizing everything up, the issues with all the printing. But highly recommend it. There's great videos on YouTube. Yeah. Just look them up, and we'll link some of the things that I got and how I got in some of the pictures and things like that. But anyway, thanks for the email.
Yeah, thank you.
But those are our emails.
That's it.
All right, good. Yeah, thanks for the emails. We'll plan on picking one of yours. So get them in. You can still get in an email and put in some video game book club ideas.
And we'll take the old ones still that haven't gotten picked also.
Of course. Any of the old ones that we haven't gotten picked, those still go in the pool.
Yep.
We will pick those out. Again, we thank you so much for listening. Any of the likes we love. Any reviews on iTunes especially, that just helps us kind of move up the chain of iTunes so more people can find us. We just want people to find us, and we love interacting with you guys.
Try to make them 5 stars.
Can we say that? Yeah, we can, because we're
I think
independent
we can say
podcast.
That,
right? That just helps us get seen. And if it is 1 star, maybe just email us and say 1 star.
Yeah, maybe just email us and tell us we suck.
Yeah, or just you know what? Just yell into a pillow. Actually, that's probably better. And then go back and do the 5 stars. Yeah. Oh man, but we appreciate you guys. Facebook, real quick, Shane.
Facebook.com/videogamedads.
And our email, Adam.
videogamedads@yahoo.com.
And follow us on the Twitters @videogamedads. Really appreciate you guys. Episode 6 is in the books.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed that music, please check out Evan King on Bandcamp for further details, and you can download some for yourself. Thank you.
Bye-bye.